Hello and welcome back to another MILSURP HQ podcast. I'm Tom, known for being the real model used in the Air Jordan logo. That's me. And as always, the HQ isn't complete without this man whose grandfather famously fell asleep as the iceberg lookout for the Titanic. It's the man who makes General Burnside jealous of his facial hair. Kelly, what's up?
It's your boy Kelly.
Ambrose. That is a cool name. There's not many Ambroses anymore. So today I am going to be out of my comfort zone a little bit as we get into some MILSURP ammunition talk, including some info on reloading options for folks like me who want to finally begin reloading. It's my reloading goal of 2025 to have multiple calibers. So we're delighted to have a few folks today, besides Kelly, that are familiar with making ammo. So Kelly, who has the earth bestowed on us today?
We reach out to the industry experts, as you could say, for MILSURP Ammunition, and today we have Alex from Steinel and Reese from MILSURP Munitions. You might have heard of those two companies. If not, you should look them up. So welcome, Alex and Reese. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
As always, we like to ask our guests a couple of questions before we get into the nitty-gritty. So, we'll start with you, Alex. What kind of collector are you? Are you a eras collector, a war collector, a pattern collector, etc., etc.?
Probably the closest answer would be pattern collector, because I have way too many Carcanos.
Ooh, he's one of those crazy guys.
But
loves you.
really, I'm just kind of a interest in different caliber collector. Like, if I start reading on a caliber that I think is cool, I'm gonna go find something in that and buy it.
Nice. I don't think we've had a caliber collector yet. I've kind of considered doing that myself, but that's cool.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I get bored with stuff a little bit quickly though, so that there's a lot of turnover. But I would say that Carcano is like the only thing that I buy it and it stays. And then outside of that, yeah, it's just, hey, I think this caliber sounds really neat. The development was pretty cool, so now I'm gonna go buy that.
So, how many different calibers do you have in your collection?
At a time, maybe 13 or 14, but like I said, there's turnover. I probably every 2 months get rid of something and get another caliber that I find interest in.
Okay. And what is your most recent pickup, or what are you going for next?
The most recent pickup was a Carcano I bought yesterday.
That's pretty recent.
Yeah, $200. Could have beat it.
What'd you get?
It's a 9124 Machado that's missing the bayonet.
It's a good pickup though.
So, are you like so hard into it where you need every year, every manufacturer? Like, how deep are you?
I have every manufacturer. I have the major patterns, i.e., like long rifle, TS, Machado TS, cavalry carbine TS, or cavalry carbine Machado. So I have like all the patterns and all the makers. Now it's just if it's $200 or less and I walk past it, I'm probably buying it.
Can't really go wrong for $200.
No.
And do you care about 8mm conversion ones?
I am looking for an 8mm conversion one, and I'm looking for a Type I. Those are like the two that I need in my life.
Oh yeah, Type I you definitely need. That's very Carcano. Yes.
Yes. I need those two things in my life.
Cool.
All right. And
another crazy pattern collector.
God.
And next up, we have Reese from MILSURP Munitions. Welcome, Reese.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
Yeah, he was here before.
Oh, yeah, that's right. All right. Well, we probably asked you last time, what kind of collector are you?
Yeah.
Enfields.
And what have you gotten recently, or what are you getting next?
Not an Enfield. the most recent purchase I have, I think we know, is the Youngman PU, which is
that was
an
funky.
AG40.
Nice.
That thing's amazing. I love it. It's a AG42 Youngman. Am I pronouncing that right? Youngman rifle.
Youngman.
Yeah,
Youngman.
Youngman.
But it's been tastefully, very tastefully, outfitted with a Soviet PU scope that belongs on a Mosin Nagant.
As much,
And
as much as I dislike Bubba, I can't hate it.
it
Yeah.
it goes really well. For some reason, I think it's super cool. I had to have it. That's my most recent pickup. I can't wait to shoot it. I love reloading 6.5 by 55.
It's such a glorious caliber.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and I do have an M96 with a bayonet, so now I get a bayonet to interchange between the two. Should get another one, maybe.
They're pretty cheap, relatively.
Yeah, yeah,
All
but
right.
that's my pattern.
I mean, I do love me some infield, so it's the only gun I have multiples of, actually. I have 2 SMLEs.
Yeah, they're just really handsome rifles. My goal as a pattern collector would be to get a number 4 like T. I want a number 4 sniper. You see them floating around on Gunbroker with like the original case it came in a lot, like the crate. So that's definitely a goal of mine. I might buy that over a BAR next time.
Yeah, I mean, you know a guy if you need to get one.
I do know, yeah.
And so for each of you, we'll go ahead and I mean this is the ammo episode, so what are your roles at the respective companies for each of you?
Let's go first.
I am the production / operations manager, so I set the presses and run them.
That's
And
it.
we'll mention that's for Steinel. I don't know anyone that yet. It'll probably be in the title of this, but you know.
Yes,
That's awesome.
Yep, that's most of what I do. I mean, I'm also kind of the MILSURP guy of the crew, so I'm definitely kind of ear to the ground and make suggestions on maybe what to look at next. But
You hear
production
that?
is
He's the
my
guy to
main
email
goal.
if you need something done. Email him.
Yeah, yell at him if you have some crazy suggestion like I want 7.5 French for 30 cents a round or something like that.
Right.
I'm trying to remember the
He'll
one,
explain.
like maybe it's 43 Spanish. I don't know what the latest one that I looked at today that I was like, no, not not anytime soon.
Uh-oh. Bunch of guys just got upset with
Yeah,
rolling blocks or something.
yeah. So, but
I've seen some
yeah,
wild suggestions out there.
that's my predominant role is making sure the presses are running and actually making the ammo. So I like
That's
it.
good.
My brain works better that way. I'm not much of a businessman. I'm just a old car mechanic and National Guard guy. So it's a lot easier for my brain to just make the stuff.
That's
Right.
pretty
You don't
cool.
have to worry about the business side of it like perhaps Reese does.
Probably not. Probably not. So people that know me and my company, they know it's literally just me. And I do have Uli. Uli is a part of the company. If you don't know who Uli is, you've probably heard of Royal Tiger Imports. He's the owner of that. So he provides funding for basically when I need it, or like when I ask for it. And to an extent, obviously, he's an
Like
investor.
an
So
allowance or
no, it's a set contract between me
I'm
and him.
good.
So yeah. Um, so essentially, and he's a huge help, obviously, on that in that aspect. But in terms of the company itself, I am top to bottom everything that happens. I mean, it starts out with having to source all the materials. You know, I go to my warehouse, I make the ammo on the 1050s, like Alex does. I have to set the 1050s, and I let them run. And I manufacture, I bring it home, make sure the rounds are all good, inspect them, polish them, and then package them. Then I manage the website and the sales, and I make sure that everyone's updated, and I send out the orders and package it when people buy them. So it's a lot, and
Jeez.
but it's what I was meant to do. Like I could feel it. Like it's fun to me, and I could do. I'm just good at it. So it's a pain in the ass for sure, and I'm losing my hair, but it's a good time. I love making ammo. I love running the business.
You're not crazy yet.
Not yet. Not get squished on the highway on a moped crazy.
Hey, we've all been there. No, we
Hey,
haven't.
hey, fall in.
No, no, no. I'm all good, man.
I mean, I can barely keep up with my own shooting needs. I can't imagine doing it for thousands of people.
Yeah. When I had my holiday sale, I had over 100 orders, and to many, that's just like, okay, 100 orders doesn't sound like a lot. That's actually 100 like cardboard boxes that I have to make, like of orders. So like some people will get 2 of this, 3 of that, et cetera, et cetera. So like I'm boxing hundreds of boxes inside these packages all by myself. So like that takes hours to do, just one man,
And
to get those
how do
ready for
you
UPS.
how do you respond to the allegations of forced elderly labor being used in your company?
No comment.
I think what we're hearing is he needs more friends because
Are your grandma? By the way, do you guys have any like grandmas that are bored? Asking for a friend.
Asking for a
Asking for a
friend.
friend.
I heard you're located in Florida, so there's a big labor pool there.
yeah, true.
Yeah, I'm near Tamarack. A lot of old Eldecakas there. Yeah, no. And for people that don't know this inside joke, my grandma does help me make the boxes to put the bullets in because she's a sweetheart and I love her. She loves to help.
Tom, cut that part.
No context.
All right.
So yeah, you do. So next to your name, it just says all.
Everything. Sole
Everything.
proprietor.
Yeah, essentially. On the contract, it's literally like everything.
But you're
funny.
the RTI ammo guy, right?
Oh my god.
All right, so we have some qualified ammunition people here. We have a guy who literally has a company, and this guy here who's literally shooting rounds off in his workspace on his expensive pressure machine. So these guys are familiar. I don't know if we discussed before, we were chit chatting before the show, but I wanted to ask how you both got into reloading. Like, what was the first round that kickstarted it for you? We're like, fuck it, I got to do it on my own now.
So for me, actually, again, the answer is 6.5 Carcano.
Nice.
I I I bought a couple boxes back in 2020 when I first got into buying guns, and found out the company was literally 10 minutes down the road. Sent an email, said, "Hey, can I pick it up?" Well, when I went and picked it up, I said, "Hey, if you want some part-time help, let me know." 3 weeks later was right after like the ammo crash of early Corona. So I got a phone
Oh.
call, started helping out on the weekends, and my first experience with loading was doing it professionally. I went over full time in 2022, and I didn't start home reloading until about a year ago. So the home reloading
Whoa.
is also semi Carcano related. It's 7.62 by 45, which you can make by fire forming 6.5 or 7.35 Carcano.
Wait, and what is that for?
VZ52.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
the funky check wins.
Yeah, really cool. So you're sacrificing Carcano rounds for the Czech rifle. All right.
Yes, which is okay because I have a lot of spaghetti rounds.
So that's interesting. So you started for years on commercial presses before going to a rock chucker or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, I and kind of where I started with equipment was local gun shops. Like I said, hey, whatever reloading crap comes in, if somebody passes away and family members bring in, just give me a call. Give them $200. They give me whatever's there. So I got a couple turret presses, a couple rock suckers, this weird homemade press that's kind of like I don't really know how to describe it. It's got 4 stations, but you can put they each have like an independent shell holder you can put on it, so you can move it by hand. It's like a I don't know,
Manual
between
index.
it's not even an index. You have to literally it uses like Lyman shell holders. So you set it up and then you manually pull around out of one shell holder, put it in another one, but it has space to set up all 4 dies and have 4 shell holders. It's pretty cool actually, but it's just some homemade thing. I use that for my 9mm.
Wow. All right. What about you, Reese? What was your first one?
I started hobby loading. I started hobby loading before manufacturing. My first cartridge was 30-06. I had a CMP Grand. I loved it a lot, but I really ramped up my 30-06 reloading when I bought my BAR because that thing completely
Yeah.
disregards the amount of rounds you shoot. Like the 20-round mags go so fast. Next thing you know, you've already ripped through a 400-round pack, and so you're like, oh my god. Yeah, 30-06 is definitely is the one I started with, and then I remember pretty clearly. I went from that to 4570 because I had a trapdoor, and that's actually around the time when I shot Steinel's 4570 for the trapdoor. Highly, highly recommend it. It is so good. I'm so jealous I don't live that good. And then from 4570, I went to 6.5 Swiss or 6.5 Swede, and from then on, I mean, uh, things happened. Of course, you know the history, the lore. And then I got into manufacturing.
The
Uh,
deep lore.
yeah, the deep
Right.
lore. So started as a hobby loader. I love shooting my rifles. I had an amazing outdoor range in North Carolina. I mean, it's drop dead gorgeous. And nobody was ever there as a member. I just had a range to myself whenever I wanted to go shoot my MILSURP. So yeah, I vividly remember loading. The next day, I would pilot everything into the car, bring a cigar, and just like hip fire my VAR while smoking a Fat Bottom Betty cigar at the range. Such a good time. So, yeah, and then of course, yeah, got into manufacturing, and now I'm in this mess with you guys.
Would you say it is enjoyable working in the field, or is it like when you're dating a pretty woman for too long, you get sick of her? You know that old saying,
Yeah, is it turning a hobby into a job and you lose your hobby kind of thing?
right?
I have a bad habit of turning things I like to do into companies. So I will say that reloading feels like a job to me now, but I still love it. I still think it's really interesting. It gets my because I'm in my day job, I'm a software engineer, so I don't get to work with my hands that often. And I know I have a technical mind, and I knew that once I mean, I went from a Lee turret press to an automated 1050. Like there was no in between. It was just wham. And I have no mechanical background. Like at least at Alex and Steinel, he was a mechanic, so he understands machines better. But like it was dropped in front of me. But the thing is, I knew I had the mind to take it on, and I was making ammo within like the first couple of weeks with it. Like we unpackaged, put it together. It was ready to go. We went tested ammo the day we put it together. I had a few guys with me helping at the time, but um, yeah, I do have trouble sometimes with the fact that it feels like a job now. But at the end of the day, I know I love it. I know I love doing it. I love being involved with like you guys and being able to hang out with cool people. And I love MILSURP, so I mean, it just makes sense. I think it'll come back to me, and I'll feel a lot better about it when I get damn employees because I don't want to run these presses anymore. It's like they're interesting. Like I said, I love getting my hands dirty, my hands on some machines. It's really cool, but it's a lot to do. Like when I described my role at the company, it's like now we have multiple presses, we're making multiple calibers. Like I need help, so definitely need somebody to come run my presses with me. Sure.
That's funny. You went from a Dylan or a Lyman to a Dylan 1050 Mark 7. I went from a Dylan 1050 Mark 7 to a Lyman turret.
Oh my god.
That is funny. Shit. Hey, and Reese, was anything in the whole process harder or easier than you thought it would be from starting the business? And there was the thing where you had to move too. That wasn't that the case?
Yeah, I moved. That wasn't even that bad. I mean, I moved from North Carolina down here to Florida.
So
Um,
that wasn't
that
that good.
wasn't even the worst thing I've had to do so far. That like definitely I lost hair over was figuring out how to configure the press to run 8x50R. And there's like a
Damn it.
brass. I do have a brass processing tool head for it, which I'm not going to go into. That I had to have like custom. Let's not even fucking talk about it. My hair was falling out because I know how much people wanted it, and it's like I'm making it. I have so much brass, to make it with, and that
I
sucks.
was
That
gonna
was
ask what was the biggest pain in the ass round to reload. It sounds like it was this.
so far it's 8x50. Nobody, the brass is unavailable. You gotta like, I mean, how do you manipulate that much brass that way? Keep it consistent, keep it tight, you know, quality, and you have to do thousands of them. It's rough. It's not easy. So good
Man.
Yeah,
times. That was definitely
I
it.
got to give a lot of credit there because we don't even do much resizing of brass with what we do. But that lends a lot to just having I mean, and you're seeing it too with getting into multiple calibers. But once you get into multiple calibers, it becomes a real struggle. Like, where is time best utilized?
Yeah, I mean, so I have multiple presses now. I used to only have one. So I would have to alternate from 6.5 Carcano and reconfig the press to 8x50R. Think of how
Oof.
annoying that is. Like the
Yeah.
whole press. And I only had one, or I had one fucking tool head. I had to do it all over and over. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
there. I've brought the business farther along now. We've got equipment to make that a lot easier. But I like when people ask me like, Reese, why is your ammo a little expensive? It's like, I'll explain to you why. My fucking hair's falling out. There's so much to do. I'm just a small company, coming up. I need
You
the
have a lot
time.
of transparency on your site. You say I'm a small company. Here, here's how I do it. Here's what we did. Here's the tests. You're not
Yeah,
hiding anything, which is good.
we're small for now, and I'm very like if anyone's talked to me customer service wise, like if they needed help, they know like I'm on top of my shit, even though I'm a one man op. But we're a small company for now, and hopefully next year, or the year after, we're gonna hire full fledged staff and employees, and I can finally stop touching these 1050s for at least a little bit. I'll get back into it. You have to come out of retirement, but
Every
I need a
round
break.
is kissed before it goes into the box.
Yeah, dude, your round might actually like your box of my ammo might have been touched and loaded into the box, not loaded, obviously, but like put in the box by my grandma. So that's some love right there.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah.
love. So thank you, grandma.
Alex, is your job as rewarding on your end, or when you go home, you're like, uh, and also both of you, like you work in the field. When there's a gun that has commercial ammo that's ready available, do you just bother to just buy it instead of reloading it on your own?
So for me, I mean, it's kind of cyclical because like it is a production job predominantly. So, it kind of just depends on the day and also how temperamental the presses decide to be that day. But I would say most days it's very fulfilling. I mean, I was a National Guard recruiter, and I literally left being a national full-time National Guard recruiter to work here and go back to college, and then this kind of took over for going to college just because I like what I do. I kind of like the factory setting. And you
Yeah, it
know,
looks like a cool
doing
setting. Yeah, there's a couple of videos on YouTube of tours of the factory, Battlefield
yeah,
Curator one, and looks like a nice fun place.
yes. So
Laid back.
pretty much everything from that pressure testing barrel back is kind of my domain. So it's also nice because Andy, the owner, has a lot of trust in me now. Being there for 3 years full time, doing most of the pressure testing. I've probably personally ran a couple million rounds at this point. Um, so it's
Billion.
yeah, it's definitely rewarding, especially getting on the Discord and looking around. I try to do the Joe Rogan don't look it up, or at least say Andy don't look it up, and then I go look it up once a month just to see like where we may have made mistakes, or somebody who wasn't completely happy. I want to know like what's going on, and where I can improve my craft as running as efficiently as possible while also ensuring the best product is coming off the presses.
That does sound fulfilling and scary a little bit, thinking how many rounds, how many boxes you guys ship out a month, and if there's any kind of issues or mistakes and it's on you, it's like shit.
Yep,
There's not
I
many
hear
other
about it.
places to look. It doesn't look like there's many other people there.
Yeah, so we fluctuate between 3 and 5 man operation. We're actually down to a 2 man operation right this second, because one of our guys recently got a job at the TSA right after he finished his degree.
Oh shit.
Uh, so
You hear that, guys?
we're
They might
down
be
to.
hiring at Steinel.
Oh boy.
You never know.
We're Ohio. You guys got Florida. We got Ohio. That's Ohio's like the Florida of the North, or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
Ohio doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's not a real place.
It's not a-
It's got similar
Um,
bad reputation as Florida has. They're both close. That's coming from New York.
well, your guys' ammo shipping laws. Oof.
Yeah, that is a good.
Exactly. That's one-
Yeah.
that's 9 shows worth of complaints.
Yeah, so we expect some sponsorship from this episode. So yeah, sorry Tom, can't really get any ammo. So it's got to come all to Texas. Sorry to tell you this now.
Right. Send all the
Right.
ammo to him.
You
I'll take a hat.
can have a
We got
sticker.
those.
Yeah, I'll take one. And I need some MILSURP Munitions merch.
You want a flag?
Sure.
Put it out front of your house.
No, they don't allow that in New York.
Oh yeah, no weapons on a flag.
Really?
Oh, I don't
Oh,
know.
you're screwed.
Who knows?
Okay, I was gonna say.
I wouldn't put it past them. Oh, here's a silly question for both of you. How loud is it? Well, you're shooting rounds off. How loud is it when the presses are just rocking and rolling when you walk in there from the outside?
It's not too loud.
Really,
You're
you're
gonna have to ask my tinnitus. I don't know.
Blink twice if you need us to call OSHA.
Oh, it's not
like is it
OSHA.
aggravatingly, annoyingly loud, or is it just you don't really even notice what's going on? Because some noises, they're not bad at first, but if you're in there for an hour and a half, it's like, all right,
You get used to it.
You know,
clunk clunk.
the press sound actually is really important. You can because you got a bunch of different things going on. You're trying to load components in. You can tell a lot about what's going on by the sound and where you put a little oil here or there. If the sound goes away, we're fine. If that oil here or there sound doesn't go away, you probably have a problem, and it's time to start going into diagnosis mode.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine if you're sitting there hearing ka-chunk, 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 and then you hear a ka-chink, you're like, uh-oh, what was that?
Yeah,
True. I guess that's a good point.
He's super right. I mean, there's like a million sounds that you could hear. Like the sound of it when it's running as you would want it to. But like Alex, like the sound of the case feeder at the top being empty, and all of a sudden you don't hear that like tink anymore, and all you hear is the motor going at the top. I don't know if you guys use the 1050 case feeder, but that's something you listen out for. Like, oh shit, I'm out of cases on top. Or if
Yeah.
you're running like the bullet feeder, like the clicking, it clicks sometimes when it's really low or out of bullets to put into the die. There's so many different like audio cues that actually once you get used to it, you know exactly what's wrong right away.
Yep. The
So
most
it's
distinct
interesting.
the most distinct one that I think I hear, well, it kind of gives me nightmares. For a while we were using some primers that were, I don't know if it's just because Gen X primers have a weird cup to them or what, but they like to get a little we call it a little waxing moon. So like there's a little uh imperfection. I think it's because they're cupped too much for like American style primer punches, but you could hear when that would happen. You could hear the primer misforming in there, and you'd be like, ah, man. And then you'd sit there and try and figure it out for a while. So that's the primer punch is that sound is definitely the one I'm listening for the most. The rest of it's kind of like a concert of me just frantically working, but once that sound happens, I know it's a little bit of work got to go on.
Yeah, neither of my presses, none of them agree with Gen X primers.
No,
No.
I am not a fan.
I moved us off of. Well, I didn't move us off of that because we do like a weird thing with our Carcana press because it came primed with Gen X, I think, or it's like some Eastern European primer. But when I prime my 8x50R, I primarily buy the White River Armory primers. It's kind of an unknown brand, like people don't really know about it. But my press, I've never had an issue with them. I've been selling them for a while now in my ammo, and I'm really happy with them. I primed 5,000 casings without a single jam. Nothing wrong. I was so
Yeah,
impressed.
all I've heard is good things because they're a U.S. company and they're like kind of new to the game, but they seem to like be replacing some of the U.S. companies that have slacked off.
We
and they're
we
affordable.
had we had their first batch of large pistol primers, and I was having a similar issue to the Gen X. Um, I was able to work through it, and we haven't had any more of their large pistol since. Their large rifle doesn't seem to have an issue, but like I said, it was also probably one of the first batches that they ran. And you could kind of tell because the nickel plating wasn't awesome. Um, but we've had subsequent large rifle primer shipments, and those don't seem to have an issue. I don't know. I think it's because, if we're getting large pistol, we're trying to get CCI because we're doing 10 mil, we're doing more modern stuff that a primer is a make or break on the load. So that one we tend to be a little bit more kind of CCI or bust.
Yeah, understandable.
I like
So,
when you guys and your companies can use the same primers that we can buy.
Yeah, dude,
And
we're not gods.
yeah, not those secret primers are for, retailers.
I haven't had to buy any Gen X yet, but I'm sure it'll come someday.
Hand loading and hand priming is fine. You're not going to run into issues doing that. And even if it does have a little bit of cratering, so what? It'll go bang.
Yeah, like I don't have any like sort of fancy setup or anything. I've made 30,000 rounds myself, but it's all been on a single stage press. So
Right.
His right arm is giant.
but not for the reason you
Yeah,
think.
like Quagmire when he discovered internet videos.
Speaking of questionable questions, what are some questions you get from buyers? If you can share them, if not, no worries. So, what is like the most requested round that each of y'all get? Like, what is everyone asking for that you don't make at the time?
I bet it was 8x50 for a while.
I think for us, it's probably 6.5 Swede.
Really?
That
Oh,
also that
Huh.
also just might be my own echo chamber because I really want a Husqvarna in 6.5 Swede, but I think we get that a lot. Yeah, that's the one that I can think of, and maybe
cool.
like 7 and 8 millimeter Mauser are the other two. Just because we do have the pressure testing capability and try and make our loads as spicy as we can to get a solid, true to form, full power cartridge that's maybe a little closer than someone like a PPU can make.
Yeah, it's always surprising to me for some of those calibers. Like, I know when the other ammo company existed, cough cough, wink wink. 8mm was one that they made, and there's like so much 8mm out there. Like surplus is like the cheapest centerfire rifle caliber you can get right now, and like I don't know why people requested 8mm Mauser of all things when you can get like legitimate surplus for like dirt cheap.
I think it
Maybe
was
maybe someday I can get Andy to let me release our pressure testing data from that other company because it's interesting.
Oh,
wait,
exclusive.
you guys pressure tested his ammo?
We did.
Shit, I might have more.
Did he ask you to do it, or you just bought some and tested it?
I personally bought some because I wanted the box. The box is actually cool, but
Yeah.
yeah, I bought
you.
it and then
Who designed that
we
box?
yeah, right, exactly. So I bought some and then we shot it and not good.
Right.
Shit.
Let me be abundantly clear that I had nothing to do with anything he did, loading wise.
Right.
So do not attribute any.
You were creative on that end.
No.
Everyone liked the boxes, which
Yes.
Reese did. No one liked the ammo, which the other guy did. So keep those separate
Yes.
in your head, everyone.
Yeah. Those awesome boxes. That's why I got the 8mm Mauser one.
Like,
It's like-
if you don't mind me, yeah, I know, right? I mean, I don't know why people bought the 8mm Tom. I have no idea, dude.
I like when he started making them. I'm like, why the fuck are you making this? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, at the time, I just didn't feel like I should be recommending cartridges. I think the ones I pushed them to do were definitely 6.5 to start with, and then 8x50R, which is literally what I did for my company, right? But then he went on a tangent. I can't blame him for wanting to do 8 Nambu because that's cool. People want it. But then the 8mm Mauser didn't make sense, and then 30-40 Krag was a flop. So, if you don't mind me asking, Alex, like, did you say that was his ammo like wildly have wildly high PSIs, like something scary, or like was it just all over the place?
Yeah, some of the Carcano is pretty scary. It will most of it an action would handle, but it was proof load territory on some of them,
What?
and
Oh my god.
wildly inconsistent, wildly inconsistent.
That is insane, dude.
Proof load's 30% above. It's actually not as hot as you'd think it is, but yeah, it was. But it was pretty scary levels. Velocity was terrible. Like as far as standard deviation velocity was at the muzzle was bad, and then the pressure standard deviation was. I would say that if we got his results, we would stop using the powder that he was using and try something different because it was bad.
I think he was just using straight BLC2 for everything. Like everything.
Oh God! Oh no! No!
Yeah, I think so. What was his standard deviation? Like a couple hundred?
It wasn't that bad. I think it was 60 plus.
What's
Okay.
wrong with that powder?
BLC2,
It's
you can't throw it
Yeah.
in anything. Everything, I meant. It's not a universal powder for every cartridge.
it's more for like
Oh, so he
223.
was literally just using the same powder for every cartridge he was loading.
Yeah,
I think so.
it's a really cheap powder that you can use for a lot of things. It's not the best for a lot of things.
BLC2 inside of an 8x50R. Like, what the? I can't believe that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
No, I'm good on that one.
So
That's how you get
I'll,
I might have some Castos I will not be shooting,
yeah, don't shoot his ammo, dude.
and
Don't shoot his
Jumbo
ammo.
just shot a whole box of it at the last time we hung out, so he lived.
I do have
Jesus.
like some of the very first boxes of 6.5 and 7.7. Don't know if I'm gonna shoot them ever. Maybe they'll be collectible one day.
Don't shoot him now. It's not even like he said one or two were crazy. He said the whole box was nuts.
Yeah, I would recommend steering clear.
Good lord.
Hey Reese, what's the most any one person ordered in one shot? Just curious. Do you ever have a
Our
crazy guy?
biggest. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, no, it was a crazy guy. I think. I mean, he wanted more. He bought it was 20 boxes of 8x50R.
Whoa.
That's a lot. That's a lot of 8x50.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and
yeah.
400 rounds. I was thinking 50 rounds a box. I mean, 400 is not the worst and the craziest in the world.
Well,
The thing I really like about moments like that is, well, first off, I like to imagine that right now I have the biggest stash of 8x50R in the entire world. Like I
yeah,
love to I love
that's
thinking
cool.
about that. And then I love the idea of like sending out major orders. I'm like, dude, you have one of the biggest stashes of this cartridge in the entirety of the fucking world. How cool is that? Um, that's definitely a fun part of that to imagine.
The only downside is the number of rifles that shoots it. That's why I like the 30-06, where you have a lot, a lot more options for someone
Yeah,
like me to bang
yeah.
for
The
my
thing is,
buck.
there's so many. Thanks to Uli, obviously, he imports them by the tens of thousands, and they sell. So there's a lot of them inside the U.S.
Right, and they're cheap as
Um,
hell.
yeah, they're cheap, and you can shoot them pretty safely. Just fucking take them to a gunsmith, make sure, clean them, good, get thumbs up, and enjoy them. Please do not just take a gun off the wall from RTI and just shoot it. Like, please clean it, take care of it, get it checked.
Fucking send it. And for each of your portfolios, has there been any like calibers or like cartridges that you were surprised how popular they were?
Like request wise.
Yeah, requests or what you sell, etc.
We did 45 Colt cowboy loads during like COVID shortage that just They still sell pretty good, but nowhere near what they were selling at that time. They just went gangbusters for a while. But that was like a timing thing, not really like a caliber super
So that was
wanted
the old
thing.
folks getting worried about everyone being on lockdown, so they thought they would get more ammo for their
Yeah,
old
so
pistol.
everybody got away from 45 long Colt, especially like any cowboy action loading on it. So like there was, I don't know, 8-month period where that really shocked me just how much we made of that.
For me, I mean, what the ammo I sell is very calculated. So the 6.5 Carcano federally and 8x50R. No surprise that those sell really well because they're, people want them. I will say that the requests I've gotten, surprisingly, I've been majority requested to make 10-4 Federally.
Whoa.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit, now I need one. It's on my list, but like low down.
Grass is unobtainium.
A nice 4-shot.
Yeah, you gotta convert it.
Yeah, gotta make it.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know if I'm thinking of 11 Graw, but I think 10-4 Federally, like, I think it's bigger than 4570, so I don't know if it'll fit. I could be wrong. I think I might be misremembering the dimensions of 10-4 Federally, but I'm not sure it even fits on the damn 1050. So yeah,
just ask Frantic Command. He'll get set you straight.
yeah. There you go, Frantic Lamond.
Yeah, Frantic Lamond. So I get confused a bit with the 6.5 Carcana. You sell two kinds, the 264 and the 268 diameter. So could you explain, clear it up for me? Which rifles use which?
Well, the 6.5
Or do
Carcano.
I have to slug anything?
No, well, I mean, I always recommend that because, like, we have a mutual friend, Jumbo, who has a 6.5 Carcano rifle that's literally just a cavalry carbine, and he could ring plates at 100 yards with 264 Carcano, no problem. So, like, he could buy the cheaper PPU, right? No problem. And if he slugged his bore, he would have known that before buying ammo. But the difference is, especially people with like more worn bores, if you're buying like an RTI rifle, like an RTI Carcano, and like Alex, I'm sure only runs 268 in his Carcanos. Yeah, you would use the 268 projectile. It just gives you that extra grip, that extra
Oh, really?
edge.
So it's not that they use different bore sizes. It's for a worn bore.
Yeah, at least in my experience, yeah, it's like you could accurately shoot 264 diameter bullets out of a 6.5 Carcano if the bore is good enough for it. Like I could send you the video of Jumbo doing it with my 264 loads.
And which one's the more normal one? Like the
268 is like the military load, or it was like 267 bottlenose projectile, expanding base, all that blah blah blah. But
all right,
yeah. Yeah, so like it depends your bore. Like if your bore is more worn, go to the 268s. It'll give you great accuracy.
so,
You'll hardly
here,
notice
help
the
me out.
difference.
I have a cavalry
Very well.
Carcano that I shoot, and it keyholes. So is that worn? Is that an indication of being
Yes.
worn at all?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's like the main indication of it being worn.
Yeah.
And, like perfect keyholes too. Not even like on an angle. Nope. Nice and
Well,
sideways.
maybe it's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
This
I hit
Carcano
more.
model shoots them sideways.
I hit more surface area.
Yeah, exactly.
6.5 has more
So
tumble
I'll
than
get some-
223.
I'll order some 268.
Yeah, I recommend 268 if your bore is if you're keyholing like PPU 264, buy 268 from your Steinel. You can't go wrong. And then the Vetterli, so of course 6.5 Carcano goes in the Carcano rifle chambered in 6.5 Carcano. There is a set of rifles called the Vetterli. We can go.
I like that you called it 6.5 Vetterli and it doesn't say Carcano right there.
Yeah, the main reason I titled it 6.5 Vetterli is because it is a Vetterli chambered in 6.5 Carcano, but don't put 6.5 Carcano in this Vetterli. It's not. They're fucking old, especially if you're buying an RTI Vetterli. Just please don't. Just shoot the downloaded, the nice and easy stuff. It is 6.5 Carcano. Don't get me wrong. 6.5 Vetterli is 6.5 Carcano. It's just a different load. It's not as hot. You're not putting a lot of pressure on the rifle, and you get to enjoy it safely. That's at least what my company does, and I can't imagine Steinel's doing it any differently. It's just safely enjoy these Vetterlis because a lot of them are clapped out.
Yeah, we actually use the same parameters for Vetterli as we do for our trapdoor safe. So, yeah, same pressure parameters to make sure that we're keeping those old black powder guns safe. Because even though it's a new barrel in there, the action is still a black powder action.
Yep. Well, the Vetterli was updated to be smokeless, 6.5 per pound, right?
Yeah.
They put like a sleeve down the bore, right, from the 10-4, and then whatever. It's those rifles are literally nightmares. I know Frantic
Yes.
Lamond loves them, but I mean they are fun to shoot. When you get them running, you're like, oh shit, I can see why people like it. But
Right.
you know, they're pretty rickety, if I'm being honest. But
Could you imagine Casto's loads in the Vetterli?
oh, I'm
Don't
so
do that.
happy.
Don't
So
do that.
happy he didn't make. I don't even think he made them. I don't even think we made 6.5 Vetterli loads. Thank God.
Still, I
We
mean,
did
someone
not
would have
do
put the
that.
regular Kirkado load in there. Who knows?
Yeah, you were talking about funny
Frantic Lamond
emails I get.
done it.
Yeah, he also sent me a video of him blowing up a Vetterli, putting regular Carcano in it. 268
No.
Carcano.
Oh god.
But it was a junk Vetterli though, so he just blew it up. I know we wanted to go over funny emails. I do have like a selection of them I get because I am the business owner, so I see all the emails that come in. I did have one that was like literally word for word was, do you have any Vetterli ammo left? Did you get any squibs while testing this? That's my main concern. Is it the same load as the full Carcano?
What?
No.
Perks of
Like,
being a
It
business owner.
clearly says it.
Yeah. I have a few of these.
Like, is there a world where you would answer yes? Oh yeah, I get lots of squibs.
Yeah. Actually, they all squib,
A lot of
and I sell it to
misfires.
everybody.
That
Yeah.
is that is my favorite time when, you know, I post something on Reddit or in one of the Discords or whatever. I post something and somebody asks me like about California. I'm like, oh, I'm the production manager. Go ahead and just here's this email. Do that.
Yeah, and then imagine like doing all you do and then having to deal with these people and then shipping
Yeah,
them the ammo.
hey, respect, respectfully. So my boss does go on vacation about twice a year for a week, and then it is me alone. And yeah, I feel very unproductive when that happens. So I definitely, at least on a microcosm, can feel your pain at times.
Yeah, that's cool, dude. That's cool. That's nice that he trusts you to do that, and that shows the level of expertise and like professionability. What's the word for that? Like you're
Professionalism?
clearly competent. Yeah, that's probably it. Professional.
Professional,
Sorry, I just had a
Professionalism?
stroke. Jesus.
professionalism. There you go.
Yeah. Shows the level of professionalism you have. That's really cool.
Yeah, I will say that my biggest mess ups are always in shipping. I always ship people the wrong ammo because I get confused quickly. So that is the place I hate to be the most is
Yeah.
back in
That
shipping.
sucks. Shit.
Whoa. Sounds like
Ooh.
trivia time.
That noise, ladies and gentlemen, means it's time for some MILSURP HQ trivia. And today we only have 10 quick questions here, but they're ammunition related, of course. And maybe I'll stump these guys. One of them is on ammo companies. So we have some representatives here, and one is on just MILSURP Ammo. Sometimes we keep score, but for this one, I'll just see if all you ammo reloading fellows can get them all as a team, okay?
Do it.
All right, here we go. The first question is MILSURP Ammo, and there's a giant picture of a Nambu. All Nambus use the 8x22 Nambu round, except this baby here, the Nambu Type B baby, which used
7
this
millimeter.
round.
7 by
mil.
20.
What is
Yeah,
it exactly? 7
Oh,
7 by 20.
by 20?
That's big. Yeah. 7 by 20, baby Nando. Wait, what?
Yeah, they just reduced it by a millimeter. Come on.
It's a
Yeah,
7
by
by
22.
22.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
Come on. Costing us points
Oh.
already.
that's not requested, that one. That's why he doesn't
You
know it.
just said 7 millimeter.
All
I was
right.
just talking about that at SHOT Show too.
All right. We have next ammo companies. The first question in ammo companies is This now defunct ammunition company exploded onto the scene a few years back with amazing box artwork and making a number of harder to find MILSURP calibers
Oh my God.
and one very common caliber. The company is no more, as the low-life criminal that ran it frequently failed to deliver as promised and met his demise when his scooter was plowed over by an 18-wheeler truck on the highway.
Oh my God.
Anyone?
That's unhinged. That's literally unhinged.
There it is. The case we were talking about. It's Castos, Curios, R.I.P. Beef. Well, not really P. R.I.
Rest in piss.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Again, box art was by Spectre. Ammo was by Casto.
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice. I like all of it. Love the Eagles.
That was wild. That was so wild.
All right.
I had no
MILSURP
idea that was coming.
MILSURP Ammo, number 2. This cartridge was developed in Denmark in 1888 by Necking Down. We were talking about Necking Down. Danish 11x4x51R Remington rolling block cartridges, and was adopted the following year by Denmark in the Krag Jorgensen M89 rifle.
That'll be the 8x58 Danish, which y'all should make, by the way, because my friend is pestering me to make some, and I don't want to make it because it's a pain in the ass to make.
He is correct. The 8x58, make it so he doesn't have to be bothered by his friend.
Oof.
All right, ammo companies for 2. This ammunition company began in a basement in 2015 with the ammo just being sold at local gun shows. But within a few short years, their hard work paid off and they moved to the large commercial space in Twinsburg, Ohio, where they still are today.
What is
Take a
Steinel
wild
ammunition?
Yeah, there you go.
Correct. It is Steinel Ammunition Company.
That's cool.
I'm glad you know it. Andy would be proud. How many? The Twinsburg might have given it away.
The Twinsburg, that's it. Actually, I've heard the in the basement little elevator pitch quite a few times.
I bet. All right, MILSURP Ammo. Third one down. Modified German Flammenwerfer 41 flamethrowers moved away from using the hydrogen torch to ignite the fuel and instead used modified these rounds.
Oh, I have no idea.
So what
Oh, God.
rounds did they use to ignite their flamethrowers?
9mm Parabellum?
Ooh.
That makes no sense.
So is it the small
12
round, the
gauge?
big round? Ooh, 12 gauge. That would be
12 gauge?
badass.
Hell yeah.
It
It
was.
is not by then, team.
It was. They
Nice.
died. So
That
you
was a guess out of left field. That was a lucky guess.
and the way it's explained, it says that the cartridges were loaded, they're blanks, they're angled 27.5 degrees and aimed at the fuel jet, and it like shoots it and it ignites it. Like, wow, what a crazy, scary weapon to have.
Sounds pretty German.
That's pretty thug.
It's like you walk out and it goes, here you go, Mauser, Mauser, Mauser. Oh, Tom, you're getting this Fugenflugen and no,
Flammen, it's the Flammenwerfer. It werfs Flammen.
Flammenwerfer. I don't want that. I blow up my face. All right. Ammo companies, third one. This company was founded in 1957 and began as a gas station in Mexico, Missouri, that also sold boats, motors, and hunting and fishing equipment before changes made by Missouri to increase the deer and turkey population allowed them to expand their firearms and ammo production, leading to today where they are the self-proclaimed reloading authority.
Is it Remington?
Is that
Nope.
Hornady?
Winchester?
I
Oh,
know
it
I've
might be
got-
Hornady.
No, I've gotten fucking packages from Mexico, Missouri. Who is that? Is it Midway
Come
or
on.
is it Graf's?
Oh,
It's one
Oh,
of those two. Make a decision.
you're right. You're right.
Midway.
All right, we got one Midway.
I gotta
I
say,
think
I think it's Graf's because they lean more heavy into reloading than Midway. Midway is everything.
All right, Reese, what do you say?
I think it's Midway.
It's Graf's.
Oh,
Graf it says.
Fucking said so.
damn, dude. You should have known
Boom.
that too.
See, the reloading authority.
Damn it.
Oh my god, I should have known that. I've seen them. It's on their website right in the front. God damn.
Yep.
Bro.
I'm on their website all the time.
Sorry, Graf and Sons.
There goes your sponsorship.
There goes the
Milsurp
sponsor.
Yeah,
Munitions.
right. Sorry, Kathy. Grass and Sons, I love you. My bad.
All right. MILSURP Ammo 4. British forces stationed in India in the 1800s noticed that their brass cartridges. Oh, I don't expect you to get this one right. Let's see. Noticed that their brass cartridges tended to crack after the end of the monsoon season when dry weather returned, and therefore they blamed it on the change of seasons. They even called it season cracking. But an investigation in 1921, which is many years later, led to the conclusion that all these cracks were formed because the ammunition was always stored with this. So all through India, they had the same practice, apparently.
What would it be stored with? It'd probably be like corrosive, right? Let's see.
Was it like stored with salt or something like that?
What would be powerful enough to be in the same room and still affect them?
Oh, fertilizer?
Ooh.
That would be an India moment for sure.
Well, it's very close.
Horses.
So all
Ammonia.
the ammonia from the urine, there's a whole technical thing here. Reacts with the copper, forms a cupronium ion, and the high humidity in the air causes the ions to dissolve or wash away and causes all the cracks. So it took 30-something years to figure that out.
Who stores ammo in a stable? It's called an armory, dude. Put it in a separate building.
The fucking Brits, apparently.
The British Indian forces.
Gotta keep them in the. I can't even do a British accent. Whatever, that's unhinged. Get out of here.
All right, ammo.
Listen, you'd be appalled how he stored ammo back in the stand.
But I like how they just, instead of resolving the issue, they were like, let's just give it a nickname, season cracking. That's it again. You know, they're all
Gotta use up all his
season.
ammo. Need to shoot some prisoners.
Shoot the horses. All right. Ammo companies 4. This company started way back in 1990 and sells lots of reloading gear, shooting supplies, and even old firearms. But they got on most people's radars because of their super hard to find black powder ammunition they produce. And today they boast that they have the largest on hand inventory of black powder ammo of any company. Much like Reese boasting he has the most 8x50.
This sounds like a Buffalo cartridge.
Buffalo Arms.
Buffalo Arms, yeah.
It is the Buffalo Arms Company.
Nice.
And he said when he started, this is what got him into making ammo. It took 6 months just to get the brass, the dies, the molds, and everything together. So thankfully he's there to make it easier for all of us, like you guys. All right, the last one here in MILSURP Ammo. The 30-03 was also called the 30 this because it used this grain powder charge, but the name was changed to 30-03 to indicate the year of adoption, of course.
Oh.
So what was the grain and the original name? This, of course, went on to be the 30-06.
It's got to be 50-something.
Yeah, I was going to say like 3055 or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like 56 is sticking out.
3056?
I'll tell you right now, you guys are incorrect.
What?
So any other guesses? Think of the grains of a... What's the 30-06 grain?
Wait.
Could be like 45 and up.
Oh.
I mean, modern stuff is like 47 grains of IMR 4895 or whatever.
Yep.
Is it 30? Because it used to be pretty damn spicy.
Yeah.
30. It's like 3050.
What? I think we should go in the middle and 45. Or wait, maybe like 40? No, that's 30-40 crack.
Oh yeah, because 3040 is crack.
Oh.
So it's got to be way spicier than that.
It's I would say I don't know way, but like I feel like 45, 50 grains is like right. It's somewhere there between those two numbers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It is the 45.
I knew it.
It used a 220 grain round nose bullet replaced only after 3 years of service, obviously.
That is chunky.
All right, boys and girls, the last question in the trivia for ammo companies. Here we go. So the journey for this ammunition company began with a simple mission: to provide fellow collectors and as enthusiasts with access to specialty cartridges and bring their collection back to life. And their motto is, our commitment to quality and authenticity remains our priority for collectors. What company?
I mean,
Uh,
is it me? is it MILSURP Munitions?
It is you.
Oh,
You're a little slow on your own company.
yeah, you better know your own motto.
I was kind of like, I didn't know if you guys were gonna do me too. I was like, wait, are they doing me right now? It's like,
That is your company and your motto. And that was your journey. So yes, this
Yeah.
is this is MILSURP Munitions' motto and journey that he's 100% behind.
no, dude, I was like, wait, is that my motto? Like, I knew it was my motto. I'm like, wait, is there somebody else that they put on here that's like similar to it? Nice.
Oh, all right. Very nice. Very nice. All right, let's talk a little bit about the MILSURP ammo availability right now. And I just wanted to start with a question. In 2025, are there any calibers that are difficult to find for any of the popular MILSURP rifles and pistols of World War I and World War II from all the main countries? Or are all those covered and it's more the niche companies, calibers?
Japanese, all Japanese.
I was just about
That's
to
all.
say 7.7 and 6.5 for sure. Japanese.
Yeah, I'd say those
Yeah.
are the most attainable guns with the least attainable ammo, relatively.
Yeah.
Damn you, PPU, and your short runs in limited quantity.
It still baffles me that they don't make 7.7 and 6.5. Because they make the brass for it, and they make the bullets for it, but they don't make the ammo for it. It just
One more
doesn't make
step.
sense.
It's time somebody
Somebody just need to take
change
those two things and like slap them together, and somehow it makes ammo.
Yeah,
Magically.
and I mean, there's like 6 things that you use the same dyes that you can use to make 6.5 Arasaka and 7.7 even. I mean, you don't need special stuff for it.
Yeah, literally.
Yep.
You just need like the shoulder to be set back, and that's it.
And I
Yeah.
don't know the pistol caliber, so I know the Japanese Nambu caliber is a rare one. But what about all the other pistols for the other countries? Anything,
Yeah. We
French
we spoke
shit?
about nine Steyr. We spoke about.
Yeah, 9 Steyr is. I mean, there's only one gun that uses it, and it's, I mean, a fairly popular, but it's kind of like it's not a novice gun. It's not like your first MILSURP pistol kind of thing. So its demand is probably medium out there, and there's still like some old commercial stuff floating around, so it's kind of in demand, but not the most in demand.
You know what we get a lot? It's not World War II, it's just after, but Makarov. We get asked about Makarov constantly.
I think
Doesn't
that's
PPU
weird
pump that
too.
out?
Cool.
I think that because that seems like it's easy to find. Like I could go find it in like 2 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just because we're known for loading a little bit hotter and they want something cuz Brandon Herrera carries a Makarov sometimes. I don't know if it's just guys wanting defensive loads since we also have that side of the house. And they want to see us do something like that, but we do get asked about it like not infrequently.
Yeah, I think a lot of old timers don't like to just go to 50 different websites to pick up it. They if they're using you, they're like, oh, they don't have it, and they don't go look for it elsewhere. So that's why you get the requests for certain things. I think like the younger guys are smart enough they're on forums, they're all over the place.
Well, I've on that point, I feel like there's a certain generation or certain like time period where like they'll go like deep searching and like look through all the websites and everything, and then it becomes kind of like old people again, where it's like if it's not on the first thing they find, they're like, oh, it doesn't exist. Why doesn't anyone make 9 Makarov? And it's like there's like 8 companies that make 9 Makarov. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, I think there's also something to be said that there's probably not great defensive options out there. So I think that's probably I would say the front seat driver for why they ask us about it, because we have quite a couple of different defensive loadings in 9mm standard, and they're somewhat popular. There's cult followings for it. I'll say that much.
I would agree with you with almost any other caliber, but Hornady literally makes a defensive option for 9mm Makarov.
For Mac, okay.
And it's in stock at like any place you go to that would have surplus ammo. Like I'm on SG ammo right now, and like, oh, Hornet D 9mm Mac is in stock with a
And what is
95 grain
defensive
PCO.
about it?
It's like a expanding hollow point, and it's like spicier than your FMJ load. That's
So
all.
Yeah,
it's going to blast harder, but not go through your walls.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if they want us to do it with a solid copper though, because our solid coppers are pretty popular in the defensive realm.
Yeah, if I were to carry a Makarov, it's like the same thing as a 380.
Right.
You want a little more penetration.
We have a pretty sweet solid copper 380 that we make.
Yeah, that makes sense if people are like wanting that.
Yeah, I would almost put money that is what the thought process is on a lot of them.
So as far as all the popular shit is mostly available in just those few things, and then there's you guys with your niche
What
lines.
is here's one that's off script. What is the most obscure thing you've been asked for?
Oh, I've got it right on the tip of my tongue.
Oh, man, we get asked for like obscure black powder stuff quite a bit since we do the trapdoor. I couldn't give you like an off the dome example, but usually it's like, hey, maybe go check out like Buffalo for that or something.
And I have like 41 volcanic rimfire or like some shit like that.
Yeah, haven't been asked that one before, but I'm waiting for it.
Like, those paper wrapped rounds have to be a real pain in the ass. Buffalo arms does.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
real for that. I get asked for. Actually, I've been asked a few times for 11 by 58 R.
My 58 what?
R.
11 by 58R.
What is that from?
It's I think it's an old Russian.
What the Burdan?
Verndl.
Oh, Verndl.
Verndl.
Oh, okay, Verndl. I mean, that's not the craziest thing
Wait,
in the
it
world.
says as well as the Mannlicher 1886, which nobody really.
Yeah, no, those. I mean, RTI sold like 2 of those.
86.
Wasn't there also a Russian round that's like 11 millimeter? Am I tripping?
Yeah, Burdan.
Burdan?
Burdan. Yeah.
Burdan. Yeah, I've also been asked for Burdan.
Of like the 4 Burdan owners in the U.S.
Yeah, exactly.
Holmes.
Like people, I 100% appreciate someone taking the time to be like, hey, you guys, can you consider this? I love that. I'll actually probably never get annoyed. I mean, if you send me something that's like so far off, I might like chuckle a little bit and share it with my friends. But the people need to consider when you ask like a company like me or Steinel, like imagine what it takes to shift and like create the logistics to support mass production of the caliber, because we don't make like 50 and then call it quits. Like we have to buy dies, configure presses, buy boxes. Like there's so much to it. We can't just make like 20 rounds for you and
Right,
send it in the mail.
But you have to know the demand is there. So like maybe just
Yep.
saying like, I know you're not going to switch now, but hey, one vote for 10 by 7.5 by 58R Burdan.
I don't want to be that guy, but Buffalo Arms makes 11 mil Verndl.
Get them out of here. I'm just
There you
kidding.
go. Yeah, and I know for us too, because we have so many different lines, I guess you could say. So we have our defensive stuff, we got hunting stuff, we have specific straight wall stuff because Ohio is a straight wall state, Michigan right next door is a straight wall state. And then the MILSURP stuff is good too, and we've curried a lot of favor with that. But we've got a lot of irons in the fire. So for us, we have to be pretty selective as far as what we're doing and when we're doing it. Because we get thrown off a week, that turns into being thrown off, 3-4 weeks very quickly.
Yeah, that's fair. So here's an idea for both of y'all, and if you make money off of this, I want some commission. You don't have to answer if you're going to do this or not. But what if you did like, it would be hard to do for like people voting for it, but also not putting money where their mouth is kind of thing. What if you did like a poll system of like, hey, we'll make this caliber if 100 people vote for it and like commit to buying it, and like you just have a list of calibers and like, hey, there's 23 people that want 11 mil Verndl, but there's 150 that want 9 Steyr and so on and so forth. Just a thought out there. That way,
It's not that simple. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, yeah. It was just a thinking point.
Yeah, so I don't know how much Alex could talk about this on his end, but as like a business owner, if I were to put a poll out and it's like, hey, like for example, let's say they wanted 7.7 Japanese, right? Like, okay, I need to buy a bunch of parts for the press. I need to test everything out. Cool. Like I could buy a small, a small lot of components from graphs, right? And configure everything and test it out. But then, it comes to the fact that if I poll somebody like a bunch of people and they want 7.7, I can't compete pricing wise. And like, yeah, there's 7.7 Japanese or like other cartridges, etc. out there that are still maybe not widely made, but they're still going to be cheaper than what I can make right now. So I don't know if it'd be worth it to even do a poll.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know for us on our side, we're fairly price conscious. And I'm going to use Buffalo again as an example, but Buffalo doesn't really care if they're selling you a single cartridge for $5. That the model that they have supports that. But us being in so many different hats, being in hunting cartridge hat, even though we're doing some more kind of, I don't want to say off the wall stuff, but not everybody's doing 444 Marlin or even some of the 350 Legend solid copper loads and stuff that we got isn't super common stuff, but it is a semi common caliber. We have to think about our pricing, because if we have common calibers and then right next to it's a $5 a round caliber, it could cause problems pretty quickly with our customer base.
Yeah, I could see that. Like they go to their website, they see that, it immediately turns customers off, and they don't even see the reasonable price things that you have.
Yes.
And then some people will talk shit like, "Oh, Steinel, they're charging $5 a piece for yada yada yada." And on
Right.
on the other side, it's actually not that case, but no, that makes sense.
Sorry, I was looking at your site here, your options. So being the press handler and all that, are you also the one that does the fine tuning down? Like I see you have a couple of versions of 8x56. Are you the one that says let's do the soft point and let's do the hard cast and all that?
Nope. I see the bullets, and whatever the bullets are in front of me is what I'm working with.
Does the owner
That's
just
kind of
plop
better
it
in
in
a
front
way.
of you? Does the owner just plop it in front of you and say like, "This is what we're making today"?
That hasn't happened yet. There's usually at least like a, hey, in a couple weeks this is coming, but that's pretty close sometimes. Is hey, this is usually, that's with the hunting stuff though, because I'm completely like, I don't want to say not involved, but I he's got a couple other sources that he talks to about what hunting calibers and stuff to get, and those ones truly are just kind of, these components showed up. We're going to go take a look at the book to see where to start on this and then work on it from there.
Yep, gotcha. I mean, that's cool being able to like pop into another caliber, whereas like I'm fucking stuck. It's like
Yeah.
that's cool. Like
You'll get
I have
there
to be
one day,
very
bud.
careful.
You'll
Yeah,
get there. Hire smart people.
If you need a low price intern in like 5 years, hit me up.
yeah, dude. I
Yeah,
need an Alex for sure. Like out there.
I'll help you remotely.
Although all my experience is on a single stage press, and I drink the whole time, so I will not be a good worker.
Nope, don't do
How-
that.
Oh my god.
was I was thinking though, as we were talking about earlier, the noise from the machines. If you had cameras on there, you could have a number of people remotely listening and be able to know something's wrong, and see it as well.
uh, I have pictures of when things go wrong and you need to be involved.
So
Hey,
if you can share, what's the most wrong it's gone?
There's pictures of my finger.
Oh yeah, you posted.
Oh yeah.
yeah, dude.
So that was exactly what? Which stage?
Well, that was the seating stage that actually bit me. But it was a new machine that was still in break-in, so there's a little hitching at the top. They have a thing called top dwell, which is basically how much it pauses at the top. The top dwell is at 0, but the machine would hitch like it had top dwell set on it. And I thought I was looking at the malfunction, which is the bullet fell off of the case at the seating station. So I went to put my hand in there, thought I hit the stop button, it hitched,
Oh,
and by the time I had my hand in there, I got pinned between the case and
Oh,
the seating die.
No. Oh
yeah.
my god.
Wow.
Look at me.
No.
I am the bullet now.
That's basically like it's like a huge hole puncher in your fingers right there.
Yeah.
Because
So-
you said the bullet's not there, right? It was just the case mouth in your finger, and then the die on top.
Luckily, by the time it came down, my finger was on the shoulder of the case, so it basically just sucked all the meat up and mangled it. But I
Ooh.
didn't break any bone or nothing like that. It just looked ugly.
Fuck, man.
Oof.
That's my worst nightmare. I'm worried that one day
Yeah.
I'm just not going to be paying attention, and then like there goes my ring finger or something. Like,
Dude,
that's,
Yeah,
that's
well,
crazy.
even on a
and
single
that-
stage, I've managed to like pinch my finger between the die and like the shell holder.
That happens like semi frequently, like just a little bit of like you're working a little quick and something pinches you a little bit, but I mean I don't really count that, but that one was partially on me for not staring at the tablet and making sure I hit stop, and also a little bit on the break-in because it, like I said, it was hitching, so my gut told me, okay, it's safe now from what the cadence of the press usually was, and was not.
And so, like, we were talking privately about that. Like, if you're having an issue, do you slow the press down and then fix it as it's going? Like,
No, I usually stop
okay.
it.
Okay.
It depends on what the issue is. If it's like a bullet issue, like on feed or something, if I don't have to get into the press, I'm fixing it as it's going. But if it's anything that I have to get my hands in there, it's gonna get stopped unless like I can use something to push, like say you have a round that shakes a little bit, but you can hold like a pencil eraser against the side of it and keep it moving. I'm not gonna put my fingers in harm's way. Like I said, that one I fully thought the press was stopped when I went in there. So that's where it was operator error, not making sure that it was stopped.
Sure, dude.
You're not doing that again.
Well, maybe we'll
Yeah.
see. It was kind of fun. Kind of a good time.
You got 4 more fingers to do that with.
Yeah. Well, no, I'll just do the same one again.
That's true.
Oh,
Yeah, they grow back.
have you guys ever had any like Brady Bunch moments where like you leave the room and come back, everything went haywire and like all the rounds are all over the floor and sideways and there's alarms going off and dogs barking and teapots whistling and
No,
craziness.
nothing like that. At least on my part.
Yeah, I'm sitting in front. If a press is running, I'm sitting in front of it, staring at it.
I saw
Alex-
one guy who had a video of his setup automatically do it, but it was over pushing the rounded all of them, so it was crushing the case.
Oh,
Like
no.
I guess it was set for a tiny pistol round.
Yeah,
So
been there, done
the whole video was him crushing one after the other, crushing. So none of that.
No.
that. No. I will say, let me tell you what I did, and dude, the pucker factor in Alex is gonna be off the charts because he's gonna know exactly how dangerous and stupid what I was doing, and I got bit for it. Trust me, I have scars on my hand now. He's gonna not feel great about this. So I was priming brass on the 1050. There's this thing called a magazine tube, and so you just drop your primers in this tube. But usually there's like another tube that you fill the primers into, and then you pull a pin, and all your primers drop into the magazine tube. The magazine tube then feeds the primers into the press. Okay. So you're like, it's a system of tubes feeding primers into the main magazine tube. I hope I didn't say tube too many times. Anyways, tube. So I dropped. I did my press was running low on primers. I took another tube of 100, let it run, and I noticed that rounds are no longer being primed. But there's a thing in the magazine tube, it's a plunger that will tell you how far down you are on the how many primers you have left, right? But my plunger was still very high, so I was like, why am I not getting any primers? But the plunger's indicating I still have plenty of primers left. So I I realized
I put my tongue in the machine.
no, I did something so dumb, dude. I regret it so much. But I'll own up to it by being honest, telling people I did it. So I took that plunger and I realized there was a jam. And by the way, and I read the manual on the 1050, it says that if primers get stuck in that tube, fucking throw it out or send it back to, I think, Dylan or something like that. I forgot. It was literally like, doesn't matter. You're not like soak it in water and like gun lube or whatever. Of course, my ass, I was like, I have ammo to make. I'm not doing all that, and I don't have an extra magazine tube right now. I have to make this ammo tonight. So I took the plunger and started lightly tapping the primers to try and get them from being unstuck. Alex,
Oh,
Alex, tell me what happened to my
that
fingers.
whole tube went up, and that felt real good.
Wait, what
Yes.
happens?
So I
Mm.
ignited primers in a tight area in a fucking magazine tube. So if you go online and you type in
Oof.
1050 magazine tube, it's literally just a skinny long tube. So it's essentially a pipe bomb with no cap on either ends. And so my dumbass had my fingers on one side trying to knock out the jam, and I wasn't
How
even.
many, how many fingers did you have on there?
how many fingers
It
do
only
you have
got.
now?
I
Yeah,
still have
how
all
many do
10.
you have now?
I still have all 10, but I have scars on my right hand, pinky, and ring finger. I ignited probably like 3 primers, and
Oh,
that doesn't even sound like a lot. Like you would think like, oh, you just like maybe have a cut. Like no, dude, that thing blew the skin of my fingers like off. And I went to the ER. The doctor told me that I'm very lucky, and that was
and
that.
turn your underwear brown.
Oh yeah, dude. I was like, my girlfriend literally walked in from work. Like she just got home from work, and I was running the presses, and I come literally out with my hand bleeding because it just happened. She's like, "Fuck, we have to go to the ER."
Yeah, and those fast like fireworks, it's so fast that you think like you don't know. Do I have all my fingers? Do I have my
Yeah,
fingers?
yeah. I
Right,
mean,
you
at
hear
least
a
you
bang and
know.
you're like, you know you're hurt, but you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, at least you
So
know. Like that was stupid. Like I know what I did. Even at the time, I was like, "This is stupid," but I didn't think I would ignite the fucking primers with how lightly I was tapping it. But yeah,
so
dude.
we probably
Rookie mistake.
we've pr- we've probably had 3 full tube primer deaths.
Oh god,
Whoa.
Jeez.
Most all of
that's
them were with
100 primers.
WRE or not WRE, Gen X or Miram, which is kind of the same as Gen X. Yeah, I was one dude was there for 1 week and had it go off. Now, luckily, none of those incidents, nobody's face or anything was anywhere near nothing, no problems. And I ended up actually like reworking all the tubes myself because we have machine shop capability and they're all back up and running. But I had it happen to me once, and it made me pucker. I don't even think I did anything. I think there was just a primer that got caught on those at the end of the tube. There's these like little plastic feed lips for the primers, and as
Yep.
they degrade, primers can kind of flip in them if you're not careful. So I think a primer just sheared and it blew the tube. But yeah, um,
Oh, and that pipe, that tube is like the diameter of the primer, right? That's like a real skinny.
no, so there's a blast
It's thick.
tube and then another tube inside of it that actually holds the primers. But there's like a blast shield tube on the
Yeah,
outside.
yeah. There's like a steel or like metal like sheath around the tube, which is nice because if it didn't have that, things would be
Yeah,
fucking bad. If
yeah.
they didn't have that extra metal.
The inner tubes on all those debts were toast, but the blast tube was fine.
Yep.
All right, so this is a dangerous profession, everybody.
You
Yeah,
learn once and then you're like, don't do that again.
I've only
or do it
detonated
several
one
more
primer.
times.
No, 2 primers. Never mind.
Yeah.
What at what stage? Just priming it?
So I detonated 1 priming a crimped 223, and then I was chamber testing my FAL, and I chambered a primed case without the magazine. And FALs, they chamber hard enough, and they have a free floating firing pin to detonate the primer without chambering from a mag. Just BT dubs. So
Well, that's not that scary.
Random moment.
don't stick around in the chamber of your FAL and then close the bolt because it will go off.
Yes.
That's crazy.
So, with that, I think we're kind of on the subject already of reloading at home for yourself.
Yes. And is it worth the trouble to save money, or is it better for ammo availability reasons?
There's something incredibly Okay, so if you were looking for a reason other than saving money, it's incredibly satisfying, and it's a skill. It's literally a skill. People don't realize that. Like it's so satisfying, and there's a sense of accomplishment when you make your own rounds and you're firing them, and you can see how accurate they are. Like there's a huge satisfaction with that, and not to mention, depending on the press you have, of course, if you're running a machine, like I don't know how cathartic that would be. Like like we do at the factories. But if you're running like if you're just doing like a handheld press or just a single stage or a turret press, dude, just throw a podcast on. Like have a not a drink, but like, hang it's a great hobby to get into. It'll get you into other guns and you're making your own ammo and there's just a humongous satisfactory feeling around that. So that's my spiel. That's it's honestly like meditation for me.
I'll come at it from an economic angle. I'm cheap
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
fuck in general, like when it comes to milsurps, and it has saved me so much money, like on ammo in general. I started reloading because I bought a K31, and I didn't want to pay 60 cents a round back in the day for GP11. Yeah, dating myself a little bit there. But like almost every single caliber Atler, you can cut the cost in half almost.
Wow.
Like 9 mil, you can't cut the cost in half. You can get it pretty cheap, like 2 to 3 things like that. But 30-06, I can reload for like 50 cents a round.
Yep.
It can be
You can
dummy
get it
cheap.
cheaper. You can
Yeah.
get it down to 30 to 40 cents. You just keep reloading the same brass. Keep that in mind. You don't need to throw your brass away out there. Get a tumbler, get something cheap or whatever, clean
Yeah.
the brass up, process them, and you get to keep using the same brass. So
It can be
saves you a lot of money down the road.
so much cheaper, and it opens, like, the biggest thing is it opens a whole nother world of like guns that you can shoot that most people can't.
Yeah.
Like every milsurp I buy, one of my rules is I have to be able to shoot it one way or another. And like if I have to make my own ammo, that's not a big deal. If I have to make 8x58 Danish, I can do that. That's not that hard. You just got to convert some cases, load some bullets, and you're good to go.
Yeah, doesn't it also feel like yeah, like I was saying, it's cathartic, it's relaxing, and very like self-rewarding. It's like an accomplishment to do it. But like, doesn't it also feel like you're getting really close into the technology of the period and of the time? It's almost like the amount of research you have to do, like assuming it's not just like in a book. Like for me, 8x50R, like I feel like the research and like the testing I had to do, it brought me closer to the gun I was reloading for. It's just so cool to be at that depth
Yeah,
of
you're
thought.
you're like a blacksmith.
Yeah, it's like a whole
Yeah.
nother aspect to like milsurps in general, because like
Yes.
a lot of people don't even think about the ammo when they buy like fucking 8 mil Mauser or whatever. Like, oh, well, it's an 8 mil SS load versus an 8 mil S load, which they use in World War One, which before that used an 8 mil this load, yada yada yada. And
Yep.
like, oh, I got to load this from my Caveira 8 to be accurate to the day. And it's a whole other dynamic to milsurps in general that a lot of people kind of miss out on or don't think about.
I'll be back
Yeah,
in a minute, but yes. Go ahead, Alex.
so for me, I'm actually gonna advocate for 9 mil for just 1 second. I have a 16-inch Ruger PC carbine, and like I make 90 grain, like probably NATO spec. Well, not probably. I know it's NATO spec pressure loads that are awesome. So like being able to make like even common rounds that you use into something really cool and versatile. So like that Ruger PC carbine stays in my truck constantly. And if I want to go to an indoor range, I have 147 subs that I load so that it's a little quieter in the range. And also your ballistic performance at, 25 and 50 meters is going to be more like those 90 grains that are pissing hot at 150 meters because they're going like 1550 feet per second. Now, I also have the luxury of having access to pressure testing equipment at work so I can go check out my loads before going somewhere
Right.
and seeing how they go. And then as far as the monetary aspect of things for me, 90% of what I load with is I have a bunch of local gun shops that sell our ammunition, and I go in and check up on them, and I've become friends with them. So anytime like some older gentleman passes away and they get a bunch of reloading stuff that they don't know what to do with, they'll give me a call, and then I come home with, 8
Wow.
die sets, a bunch of brass, a bunch of bullets, a bunch of powders. Like, that's where that powder I went and searched for came from. Was they'll be like $200, take the whole thing, and I have, like, I don't know, looks like 3 rock suckers, turret press, a couple of things I've gotten that way. So, like, for me, I've probably grand total spent maybe $600 in all of my reloading crap, and
Yeah,
it's taking up a corner of my
Nice.
basement.
you can get some crazy deals. Like my buddy's real into like buying like lots like that. He bought out an entire old gun shop of reloading stuff, and like
Wow.
if you like totaled it up, like you were reloading say 308 for like 15 cents a round or something like that. It was crazy. He got some stupid good deals.
Well, and I'll tell you this much too, just on reselling dies from that like $600 investment, I've sold probably $400 in dies on eBay. So really I'm in like $200.
Yeah, you can really bring it down if you know what you're looking at, kind of thing. And like a lot of I'll say a lot of younger people are kind of intimidated by it when it's really not that hard to get into. It's a pretty simple thing. You just kind of just I'll say the M's home favorite thing is just Google it. Just look at videos, just look at forums. It's pretty simple to do. And it's I won't say it's hard to mess up, but I mean you can definitely blow up a gun and like blow your hand off if you're like a really stupid. But
Yeah.
overall, there's so many things out there like, hey, go like if you're making this load, stick with this powder, do this amount, stick with this overall length, and you really can't mess it up.
And
Yeah.
just whatever you do, and invest in getting at least the Hornady and the Lyman loading books. Just at least those two. Even if you just get the Hornady, you can just get it off the app, and it's, I think, less expensive than buying the whole book.
Yeah, there's some
But
PDFs of earlier editions online too.
the only thing you have to be careful with is your if you are doing the go buy lots from the gun store, is your powder dates, because like Alliant powders, for example, got bought out and the recipes for their powders changed, and their older powders are faster than their newer powders. So that's the one thing where you got to be careful. And sometimes the new, your latest and greatest reloading book is going to have notes in it where it says, hey, if it's old powder like X, Y, and Z. But I have like an extensive loading manual library from probably the 50s and 60s on up, that has some pretty wackadoo stuff in it. But definitely start out with, I highly recommend the Hornady book, because Hornady bullets are so readily available and their loads are pretty good. They're good starting points.
Let me supplement that. If you're going to start reloading, you could also get Lee dies, and the pamphlets that come in the little die box have. I think they do have loading data to get you started.
Yes, they
I
do.
have, yeah, I was about to say, I literally have a 45 ACP Lee die set sitting right next to me right now.
Yeah. So like if you're gonna buy 6.5 Swede dies, like just a simple Lee die set, it's not that expensive. Don't be worried about don't overthink it. Essentially, it's not easy to fuck this up. Just follow
Between Lee
formula.
and Lyman and Hornady and Rock Chuckers, when we're dealing with a single press or a small 4-die one, I guess, does it matter that much, or should I just get whatever the fuck is cheapest? And
No, no,
that
dude. If
same
you're
thing with the
looking to be
shells and the dies.
No, if you're looking to start this and just do it as cheaply as possible. Like some people, when they want to start gaming on their PC, they're gonna look up what's the cheapest gaming PC build to get the most out of it. So like in that same context for ammo reloading, I personally, when I'm lazy, yes, I have a turret press and I can do everything there, but I also have a Lee hand press that's literally just like a crank. It's not expensive. I think it's like $40. And then I
Yeah,
also have
I
a
have it.
priming tool from Frankfurt. Yeah, Frankfurt Arsenal sells a priming tool on Amazon. It comes with all the little shell holders, and you can prime your brass. Use the hand crank to size it or decap it, and you can get a simple, cheap scale. I mean, obviously, you're not going to be doing any precision stuff with that scale, but like obviously, get a
Well,
reloading scale that's
is it worth
reputable.
rock chucker prices?
I
What is it?
mean,
Like the
Coming
Elite
from-
Precisions had a lot of deals for reloading kits.
RCBS is always solid. You don't have to go RCBS coming from the cheap side. I went with Lee when I started out. A press was like $75, and I still have that press. And every single round I've made is on that press, and I've had
Well, there you
zero
go.
issues other than my own obvious fuck ups.
So get
But
the
I mean,
cheap one is fine.
cheap one's fine to start off with, and you can upgrade to like a progressive or a turret or something like that. Or if you want like a nicer single stage, if you're doing like precision loads or something like that, by all means.
I'd say too, especially with presses, because presses are hard for gun shops to move. So I would, like, before you just order something online, like, go ask around. If there's nothing there, then yeah, go with Elite. But if you can find like a rock chucker for dirt cheap from
Yeah, there's a lot of auctions that do have rock chuckers and thrown in at the end. Like there'll be 8 of them.
yeah, because personally, I feel like it's worth going either straight to a Lyman or old school RCBS turret press or rock shocker, just because you have capability to do whatever.
Single turret, you're saying, or 4? Or is a turret? Or is a
Mine is
turret 4?
mine's a 5-die turret
Oh
press.
snap!
But it's older than dirt.
Well, is it worth jumping from a single to a multi die, or like right from the start?
Depends on what you're making.
Yeah.
A turret, honestly, dude, I don't think a turret press makes much of a difference. I mean, you're saving time of screwing in the dies. That's
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
that sounds cool.
Yeah,
I
I
guess.
personally like that. I think it's just because I set dies all day long at work. So like when I get home, I just want my dice set and to just go. So I think that's just the production mind in me. I'm trying to make bullets as fast as possible and safely.
We did a lot of talking, but to the listener that is considering reloading, the barrier to entry is not that steep. It's really, you could affordably do it, or you could ball out and go get an expensive setup.
Honestly, the barrier to entry is researching and then like the cost of a single gun.
Oh, you can even get those Lee like single. What are those called? You know what I'm talking about? Where like
Yeah,
Hand crank,
I
hand
forgot what
press.
the least single
no,
stage.
I'd have to look it up, but I know what I'm thinking about. I have one somewhere around here for like 38 special, but
Is
it
it just
basically
like
does.
the literal, like
Like a
just like
hand
the little
press.
knob on it? Yeah, it's like a single stage press, right?
Yeah, like the one you use at the range.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking about.
Well, when I was doing my research to getting all my reloading shit together, I found my document I was going to use. It's called the 9 Steps of Reloading. I don't recall where I got it, but it's from the internet, so you know it's 100% accurate. Here are the 9 steps. You guys tell me if this is, do I have the right idea going into this? Number 1, inspect and clean your cases.
Wrong. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2,
Yep.
lubricate your cases. Now,
Yeah, if you're sizing, yeah.
Yeah.
number 3, install your shell holder and fix your sizing die in your press. Self-explanatory. Number 4, insert case. Now here's a little resize, decap, expand the mouth. Now you start to
Jack,
lose me
you
here.
know.
Doesn't tell you to calibrate the sizing die, or is that info just you're just skipping over?
Yeah, you
It
got to
doesn't
set
say.
it to the right place. But
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't just slap it in there. You have to calibrate it.
you
correctly.
can just follow the instructions that come with your die set.
All right. And expanding the mouth. How frequent do you have to start expanding mouths?
So that's really only for pistol calibers. Technically, you expand the necks for like rifle calibers, unless you're
Anything with a flat base. If if you're working with like we have gas check rifle rounds, you have to expand.
All right. So if needed, trim the case to the specified length, which that is in the
Not
books, right? The
not always
manuals.
required. Not really always required.
but if needed, so you just measure with your calipers, make sure, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just make
If
sure
needed.
everything's fine.
Number 6, if you trim, then you need to chamber and deburr. I guess that's just
Chamfer.
like
Chamfer.
chamfer. Yeah, it auto corrected.
That's okay. Yep, that's the next step.
Number 7, prime the case.
No, you have to fucking clean the lube off. Oh, unless you're sorry. The way I lube is sometimes some lube gets in the case. So
Speak slower as you talk about your lubing process.
sorry. No, I would clean all the lube off before I put like primer powder or anything. That just
Yeah.
is me, my preference.
Some people do like another dry tumbling process after lubing, or you can just like wipe it off manually if you don't lube a ton inside the case.
At home, I use
Interesting.
one shot, so I just send it.
Yep, same.
Yeah, well,
And number 8 is weigh out your powder charge and pour it into the case.
Mhm.
And number
Yep, so
9, thread
research
the cedar die in the press, adjust the proper seating depth, and seat the bullet.
yeah,
It's kind of like 3 steps combined into one, but yeah.
yeah. It's not
And
going into much detail.
in step 10 would be crimp if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Not required.
So now, something I heard some reloaders swear by is using the manual for the bullet and using the, all the same company for everything, and just
Yeah, just
expecting it
depends
was tested well.
what's available and like what you're trying to do and like what you have.
Yeah.
So a great online resource is the Hodgdon reloading kind of like database, which I mean I don't own it or anything, so I'm happy to talk about it. They have tons of load data for rifle, pistol, and shotgun. I don't load shotgun, but also like when I'm researching loads for like a lot of the stuff I reload isn't in like your regular data book. So say like 8mm Kropacek or something like that. You're not going to find that in any reloading data book. There's a ton of online forums that have threads about it, and you can research loads that are similar. So like, oh, I'm researching a 200 grain bullet, and I want it to shoot like 2000 FPS. You can find a ton of loads that are similar to that, and you can kind of infer what powders you might use for that and like what you need to do for that. So some things take like specific research and like intuition and figuring things out. But
And
when you're brand new and you're reloading like
And how
super
much do you
fun
trust
things,
the forum guys though too with that?
yeah, you gotta instill a little trust and like have a little like common sense and like think about what you're doing. Like if some guy says like, "Oh yeah, I load this with like 45 grains of pistol powder," then you'll be like, "That doesn't sound right.
Doesn't
That
sound
sounds
right. Yeah.
that'll
There,
blow something up. Don't do that."
there will be someone who lurks and says, "Fill it full at 310." It's probably me.
Yeah, I use 38 grains of tight group. It fucking works
Oh
great.
my god. I will say like something that not a lot of people know about these days. If you want to get an idea, you have to take everything with a grain of salt using this tool, but it's really useful if you just want to get an idea of like what you're gonna go for and like what result you're gonna get. It's free. It's called Gordon's Reloading Tool. There's a lot of new, modern, and obsolescent calibers. Essentially, you could input like the type of cartridge you're gonna load. You could find in the database your exact bullet. You could put in your powder load. It will literally calculate everything for you, and it'll show you. It'll give you an estimate. I don't think it's 100% accurate, but depending on the data set, and it will tell you how accurate the data should be. It'll give you like a relatively accurate idea of like the velocity, uh, your ballistic coefficient, like all this analytical shit. Um, and your pressure curve, which is very important. It'll give you all this information for free. You just have to plug it all in. It looks very complex. This tool is not that complex. It's really fun to use, and you
This
can
is
see
it.
there that the pressure curve is a little over the Pmax, but
Yeah, this is like if you really want to get into your fucking ammo. Wow.
I've never actually
yeah,
seen this. This is pretty cool.
I never have
really,
either. That is actually really sick.
Yeah.
yeah. Look, it's free. Get it. I use it. I use it when I'm like researching my own loads, or I even use it for putting together
Oh,
loads for MILSURP Munitions. So it's pretty neat.
shot group analysis.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
design
need that in my
cartridges.
life.
Chamber
This is
chamber
cool.
specs.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's
and,
all kinds of resources out there.
That's sick.
surprisingly, this has 8x50R Mon Liquor in it. Just throwing that out there, how cool that is. They have a lot of obsolescent shit in here. So like if you're reloading Milsurp and you want to like plug and play, like, oh, I want to try this bullet this weight with this powder, what can I expect? And it will literally spit out like pressure curve, trajectory, FPS. It'll do all that for you. It's a very cool tool. I recommend it, and it's free. So
Wow.
that's my spiel.
And for anyone that's like nervous about getting into reloading, it's really not that bad. If you have like a couple rifles and like one's in a modern caliber, just like get all the stuff, try reloading for something like 223 or 308 or 38 special. There's literally millions of like data points out there for each of those calibers. Just try it out. Go see what local powders you can find at your Academy or Shields or Tractor Supply or whatever has powder near you. See what's
That's
local
perfect.
to you, see what you can find, try it out, and then start getting into the weird stuff. I started with 7.5 Swiss, which is not the easiest caliber to start with, and I had some struggles when I got going. But I also practiced on 270 for like my brother's hunting rifle, and got comfortable with that, and then start getting into more of the weird stuff, and it was a good path to go through.
Funny enough, our 7.5 Swiss is probably the most we've sunk into load development on anything. And I even gave up GP11 that I've been kind of like hoarding to just to do our comparisons. So yeah, I feel you on the 7.5 Swiss.
Yeah, that was rough starting out with.
Yeah, well, and we raised our parameters too to more shots and single groups on it. It just it got into ridiculous territory, but we made a nice round. It works pretty good.
It is a great round. So I'm still a little scared. I'm gonna do it. It's my goal, along with my Siamese Mauser and PU sniper. So what is the most common issue or issues that I should be like? Give me some tips to avoid the easiest to avoid issues that I might run into.
Uh, Use more lube than you think you need,
Yeah, that's a good one.
All
But don't
right.
overdo it.
but don't overdo it.
Shit. Damn.
You got to find the sweet spot, or you're gonna put a dig in the gas. Which you could still shoot it.
I'd probably be hand priming. Any issues with that little hand thingy?
No, those
No,
are pretty
no.
straightforward.
yeah,
And then the other issue I'm worried about is the seating. When I'm that last part, that's like when I make a box with wood. When I get to that last side and I realize it's not straight, it's square.
Make a dummy round first,
Yeah, I always make a dummy round, no powder, no primer.
and then
Oh.
you can like test chambering it because some rifles have weird chambers, and you can like Dremel. You can like cut a slit in the neck, so you can see exactly where your bullet sits against your rifling, and then
Ooh.
seat it. Like what is it? 1/1000th off the rifling.
yeah. Also, if especially if you're using a manual, if you have a rifle that you do need to push the bullet deeper, make sure you're where the book tells you you're safe on overall length, because if not, that that can be a big cause of issues, is seating too deep. Honestly, I think that's probably the thing that, outside of overcharging, that's like the second thing that causes the most issues.
I'll be a little controversial here. That's actually I found the opposite, at least for my reloading, because I've been conservative. Like I've been so hard trying to stay away from like the minimum seating depth that I've sat too long, and it's caused me way more issues than seating too short. Which
No, well, and I'm not
seating
even
too short
saying.
causes overpressure, obviously, but seating too long causes you jams and bullets get stuck and.
Yeah, no, and you can, and quite frankly, you can go underneath whatever that minimum seating length is,
Wait,
and
underneath which
just
way? You should err on
you
the
can go
side of going deeper or further out.
further
Further out.
out for less pressure. But if you are having some sort of cycling issues, you can go deeper. Just don't use the max charge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, don't overdo it.
Yeah, don't
The,
start
Don't
with the
overdo
max.
it.
I
But
remember I was really afraid
Yeah.
of seating the bullet too far when I first started, and like I
Yeah.
would just get gas in my face because it was seated so like lightly, so like far out there. Yeah, like it needs to expand and like stop the gas from fucking flying back around the case.
No,
My
I
dumbass
think
was like, oh,
Kelly just said it perfectly. Cut a slit in the side, and then you could see
oh yeah,
right how far down you are, and
Yeah, so if
get
you
it perfect.
cut a slit in like the neck of the casing, then put a
Yeah.
bullet, and then chamber it, that bullet will be touching your rifling, and the slit allows it to easily slide back into the casing. And then you extract that casing with a bullet in it, and it tells you exactly where your rifling is. And then you
Whoa.
can just see
Mm.
a little bit shorter than that, and you know that round will always chamber, and you're always just a touch away from the rifling where you want to be.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try
I
that.
like that. That's like perfect. That's like using physics. You're a genius. So yeah, I'll do it. I'll let you know how. I'm not gonna let you know how it goes. You're gonna hear a lot of questions before I start. Actually,
Yeah. And also,
Fine.
for all newbies, please ask questions. There's 1,000 people out there that are more than willing to answer your questions.
and speaking of questions, I have some. I have some from my friends, some people online. Some people sent us in earlier emails earlier in the year. So they're real quick here, and based on the knowledge I've learned about you two guys, and Kelly too, they should be very easy. So this question was, does it matter much at all if you don't use the manual? This is what we're talking about. Manual made by the same company as the bullet you're using, if
Oh.
it's applicable.
I will say, depending on what you're doing, it doesn't matter. If you're wanting to duplicate a specific load, yes. But if you're loading a 165 grain bullet from company A and the data you're using is a 166 grain bullet from company B, it does not matter.
Correct.
You guys
I
concur?
second that. Yeah, dude. Like I've shot Sierra Match Kings out of my fucking Swedish Mauser, my M96. I don't care. It's a 6.5 bullet, weighs this much, send it. Like I'm not worried about anything bad
Yeah.
happening.
People get way too picky about it. Like 165 versus 168, you're not going to notice a difference.
Yep.
yeah,
And-
I'd say the only people are that I would say like maybe on that too would be people that are OCD and are just unwilling to go outside of the book to find anything at all. I would definitely say like maybe at that point, but outside of that, no,
You don't need to.
Yeah, you don't need to.
Yeah, and if you're shooting under 1,000 yards, it
Right.
Like
doesn't
most of
matter.
us.
Just
He also
don't
said, do books from the 60s differ much from the books of today?
Yes.
Yep.
Wow, that's a lot of yeses. So if you have those old garage sale ammo books, they're really not trustworthy.
So
They are, but they are
depends.
going to be hotter.
Yeah, so boomers will complain about what they call lawyer loads, which
Yes.
is kind of a boomerism, but it's also kind of true. And you can see it because I've bought books from like modern day, from the 90s, from the 80s, from the 70s, and like the further you go back, the hotter the loads are.
Oh,
Because back then they're like, yeah, I want to get the most performance out of my
yeah.
shit.
Men were men.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Well,
and today they're like, I don't want to blow up. Like, I want to load this for the weakest possible rifle out there or gun out there.
powder
Uh,
also has, you could have Winchester. I'm thinking of, Winchester 296. You get something old from the 80s. I mean, even when it was brand new, that was a weaker powder than 296 of today. So that's also something to consider when you're looking at the old books. Is today's powders a lot of times are a little bit more oomph to them than older powders, unless, like I said before, Alliant was the only one that went the other way when they changed over. But yeah, I mean, I have a ton of those old books. They are still good. They are still great. Just maybe start in the middle, not all the way at the hot end.
Yeah, like I've honestly had issues like for some of my loads starting at the very teensy tiny baby like wee end of loading because there's always a range for loads. There'll be like slow loads and hot loads. Start just a little bit above the minimum because sometimes the minimum can give you their own unique issues. Obviously, don't go towards the hot end of things, but just a little bit above the minimum, and you'll be in a
Let's-
safe range. Things will work well, and you can figure out where you want to go from there.
Unless you're Casto, then who cares? DLC too. All day.
Send it. Let's go.
Full set BLC 2.
Fill the case just to the top. You're good to go.
Shit.
Uh,
R.I.P.
Rest
I
in
was
peace.
I was told to anneal every cartridge by the 4th firing and every cycle after that. Is that correct? When do you know if you must anneal?
It depends.
Based on
So,
what? What's the factors?
Annealing I would call is like reloading level like 2 or 3. It depends on the cartridge. Certain cartridges like to crack and break and like stress the brass in different ways. Like 303, for example, loves to break. Versus some other cartridges, like say 45 Colt, you can reload the casings 15 times and they're good as they were the first day you loaded them. It just,
yeah,
it just
I've
depends.
personally never annealed at home.
Oh. And so how many times do you use the same cases?
I'm not using them a ton of times.
I think my first batch of 7.5 Swiss is probably on reload number 5 or 6.
Whoa.
My
Yeah.
45 Colt is on reload like 8 or 9.
And no cracks anywhere or anything?
I've had like 2 cracked 45 Colt cases, and they were both nickel plated, which I don't like nickel plated cases.
All right. So you don't have to anneal.
For certain
you-
cartridges, you want to. Like I'm just about to start doing 8x58 Danish, like I mentioned earlier. And
Yeah.
you're picking 4570 or 4590 and necking it down a whole lot, which puts a lot of stress on the brass, and you'll get a lot of cracked cases after firing if you don't anneal.
Alright.
And I wasn't saying
Cool.
I wasn't saying no, not to anneal. You could just be like me and shoot the brass 4 or 5 times and then just throw it in the trash and not even have to deal with
Yeah,
it.
that's
What?
the other option.
What do you
Yeah.
rich?
But you bring that up. If you're buying, for example, my 8x50R, I recommend probably annealing after a couple shots because I'm moving that I'm moving that shoulder down a pretty good bit. I'm not worried about anything happening off the first few firings, but like after that, I don't know. I might recommend it, or you could just be like me and toss it.
That's interesting. You have to know if the round was neck down or not.
So if you're
Yeah,
rich,
That's good to
I make
know.
it abundantly clear. I make it clear on my website.
I mean, instead of tossing it, you could just sell it as like used brass to like poor reloaders like myself.
Yeah, just
Mine
sell it to
usually goes into a scrap bin, which gets made into brass ingots.
them. Nice.
Oh, cool.
So I've been curious about doing that. What do you do with brass ingots? Because I've always wanted to make an AR lower out of brass from like.
Me personally, I stare at them until I take them to the scrapyard. I just like melting shit down, so that's really the only reason I do that.
That is fun. All right. Question 3 here is what exactly is a sonic cleaner used for, and how does it differ from using a tumbler?
No idea.
So
Well,
a sonic
It's a
cleaner.
vibrating cleaner, right?
Sonic cleaner is overkill for brass. That's for like small metallic parts.
Well, I did look it up, and
Lower,
it
right?
says carbon buildup and oxidation.
I've
So
only ever used it on super dirty gun parts, honestly. I've never used a sonic cleaner for anything else.
yeah, so for brass, you'll generally do dry tumbling or wet tumbling.
Yeah.
Me personally, I do wet tumbling because it gets it all nice and shiny and clean and pretty.
And then it air dries.
I let it air dry. A lot of people will buy like a toaster oven off of like Facebook Marketplace or whatever and dry their brass in that. I just let it air dry because I'm in Texas and it's hot all the time, so you know.
I oven dry mine in my parents' up. By the way, I live at home. It's the same for a house. I know, right? I I wet tumble thousands at a time, and then I put them in. My parents have like a double stack oven. I just put it in their oven. But first I towel it off. If you have hard water, be careful because if you just take them and put them in an oven, it'll actually leave like a bunch of watermarks in your brass. Makes it really ugly. So I towel mine off,
That's
pop it in the oven.
About that,
what
I'm not
temperature?
concerned about the hard water. It's so much the evaporator lead that I'm kind of concerned about. BT dubs, if you haven't looked at that.
From cooking them at a low temperature.
Yes. So primers have lead acetate in them. Maybe not lead acetate, something else. They have some sort of lead compound in them. When you wet tumble them, that lead compound goes into the water. When you evaporate that water, that lead compound becomes airborne. So it's not.
I'm sorry. I'm talking about my 8x50R brass. It's literally just brass. There's no primer
Oh, okay,
or
okay.
Yeah,
anything in there.
Oh, all right.
I
Okay,
assumed you
my
were talking
bad.
about virgin brass.
I think
Yeah,
Yeah, we're talking virgin that I just
virgin
sized.
versus fired brass is
I was
different.
expecting him to collapse at his desk.
I was like, damn,
bad.
you're like
Oh,
lead
no!
poisoning your whole family, by the way.
Hell yeah,
No,
brothers.
no.
That's a great tip, though. Don't
Ugh.
there's fucking dangerous chemicals in those primers,
Yes.
fellas.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you
there,
for correcting me.
there are lead chemicals in those primers, so if you dry them, do it in your garage or something like that where you're not breathing the air. I mean, it's not a
So
huge amount of lead compared to like the boomers, like eating paint chips or whatever, but like it's not a great idea.
I do a wet tumble and then a dry tumble, but in like walnut media because that usually dries them pretty good. And if I'm reloading and doing that, it's my own cases, and I really don't care if they look like shit.
Yeah, same. Like
Water stains or not.
I wet tumble
Water stains
mine
or
and
not.
then I throw them on a towel and leave them in my garage for like 2 days. So there's probably water spots and stuff like that, but I don't really care.
Boom.
Yeah, they all go bang.
Now, here's a question I don't even understand. Is it true that you don't need to lubricate carbide titanium nitrate dyes for your straight wall cases?
Yes.
God, please lube everything.
Nope.
Ooh.
I disagree.
No, I don't lube.
Oh,
So no lubing with the straight wall?
So
Titanium nitrate?
specifically for it's not titanium nitrate, it's carbide dyes. If they are truly a straight wall or close enough to a straight wall cartridge, carbide is specifically made to have like a lower coefficient of friction, so you don't need to lubricate those cases. So like 38 special, 357 Magnum, 45 Colt, 45 ACP, pretty much pistol rounds, unless they have like a huge neck, like 8 mil Nambu or 357 Sig. You don't have to lubricate them, but that's about it. Everything else you gotta lube a lot.
So a lot
yeah,
of lubing.
I'm thinking of carbide dyes, but over thousands of rounds and on automated presses, and you definitely do need to
Yeah,
help.
for the homer loader, I'm
Yeah.
doing like
Yeah,
500 rounds at a time.
yeah, I don't think that might not be an issue. I'm thinking of my own horror stories.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah.
All right, there's one more question from the user listeners, and it's what is known as a pet load in reloading? Anyone know what a
So
pet load is?
that is a
No.
load that works particularly well for you and your specific rifle
Ah,
or rifle, pistol, whatever.
I feel like I should have known that.
so one that you've worked on and that's your recipe or whatever.
Yep.
Thing is,
Cool.
I hang out around normal people that would be like, "Hey, this is my load." That's really good. They wouldn't call it a pet load.
Yeah, I've never heard pet load.
Really?
Never
Interesting.
heard.
That's
Also, I'm kidding, but never
that-
heard pet load.
that's
Wow,
pretty common on like the maybe it's a boomer term that's like on the forums and stuff like that.
interesting.
I've always
Maybe
heard
like go-to load. People say their go-to load. I don't know. Not
Yeah,
pet
I've
load.
heard go-to load. I usually just call it Steinel loads that are in any caliber of gun that I own.
Wow.
Why not? All right, this is
Hey,
it. The last thing. It's the future, and well, ask about what your plans are for the future. But first, what is one invention that would greatly improve ammunition production at home, and you could throw in the business? And I know that Alex was just at SHOT Show, so you might have seen something. You know, are we up to robots yet?
Well, I mean, if you're Hornady or Blazer or CCI or any of those massive companies, probably a lot of conveyor belts. But the one thing I saw that I liked was Dylan's control module on the auto drives. It had
Sounds high tech.
it actually isn't. It's probably the one of the cheaper, if not the cheapest auto drive out there, but all of the controls are knobs and then the stop button's actually a button you slap. Big
Oh, it's
fan of that.
analog. It's
Yeah,
analog. That's cool.
big fan.
Cool.
Was that?
It's analog.
Yeah. All analog. There is a little readout, but it's kind of like your old school like 80s CNC machine readouts. I'm a big fan of that, but that's literally just a super niche personal. I like that thing.
No, that's cool. So, Reese, what would make your life so much easier if it was invented right now?
Other than force label.
An at-home brass manufacturing machine where I could just feed it ingots and it spits out the fuck I need.
Yeah.
For the love of God.
Yeah.
Do any of you, or have you any of you casted any molded, whatever the fuck it is, bullet molds? Casted any bullets?
I
Yes.
have not.
I have.
Ooh, which ones?
I make a bunch of number 4 shot because I have particular affinity of shoving a bunch of number 4 shot and then shoving,
Wow.
I don't know, random crap on top of it in shotgun shells. Yeah, just a personal fan favorite reloading thing of just I got a Maverick 88 and that
Cool.
thing just eats whatever I put in it.
Yeah.
Some Pirates of the Caribbean loads.
Yeah.
So lots of balls.
But I cast that. I cast slugs. I've got 405 molds. I got some weird molds, some weird old school molds too. Again, we're going back to I like melting stuff, so sitting around a Lee smelting pot is a lot
like-
of fun.
I'm okay paying for my bullets, but there's something intriguing about melting my own ammo and putting it in a mold in my yard or something. I mean, I want to do it.
You know what?
Give me the right gun.
Now that I think about it, I got my first 10-pound Lee smelting pot before I got a at-home press.
What were you
I would
making?
make double aught and number 4, and then it was when we have a solid copper hollow point shotgun shell. So I was making that and then bringing it into work and making shotgun shells at work for my own personal use.
Yeah, you did everything backwards, man.
So when
Yeah,
are we
I
gonna-
did way backwards.
When are we going to see true to form World War One label ammo where they hand lathed each individual bullet out of brass?
Oh my God.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Quality.
Never. is
find
my
me
answer.
find me some prints. I might be able to make that happen.
All right.
Well, shit. You heard
I
it.
don't know if you've noticed, but we have a brass bullets for 50 cal. We have brass bullets for Carcano. We can make that happen.
Ooh.
I just think that's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard of, and I love it.
Yeah, we actually do quite a bit with brass bullets.
That's pretty cool.
So, Reese, you have any future? Want to give us an exclusive? What your next caliber might be, or future anything? New merch? What's the future?
I might be holding off on expanding into new calibers. I'm focusing on something else right now.
Ooh.
I feel like I've said it pretty publicly, right? Like, do you think people fully understand like what I'm after here?
If they don't, they're about to.
Well, I'm working with, people, Uli. I'm working with some manufacturers around the country to set up brass manufacturing to take on PPU and remove their hold on the market here in the US. And
Oh,
so
snap.
we're no longer beholden to random batches that dry up quickly.
Whoa.
That would be a game changer for like the U.S. reloading market.
Seriously. And
Yeah, and
that must
I
mean
make it
Uli
sound
has a
easy.
lot more rifles in that warehouse.
Uli
right?
just upgraded from a very small warehouse to an 18,000 square foot warehouse, and it's
Holy
brimming
smokes.
with guns.
Ooh,
It's
does that mean
humongous.
that he can get more up here at a time?
Does that mean Milsurp HQ can have a warehouse tour?
Maybe when I live up in Melbourne, I'll walk you guys through.
From what I hear though, almost everyone who's went there has got the tour.
Yeah, and it's usually if I'm there, unless you're Ian. Ian pretty much gets to run around like a kid and pick out whatever French guns he finds. But
That's whatever he wants.
Oh wow,
yeah,
a new
exactly.
factory means more guns, so yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and let me be very honest, very straightforward that this is not to be taken lightly. This is a humongous undertaking, and it's going to be a lot of money, and it's going to probably take a year just to get everything stood up. But it's something we have big traction on, and it's, putting my hands together in like a prayer.
But if the idea though that you can go and get a 199 M95, Stutzen, and grab 2 boxes for another $100, and when it comes to your door or your FFL, in my case, you're ready to go. That's awesome. When we talk to Aaron all the time, like that, especially the 8x50, you couldn't get that 10 years ago, and you couldn't get a rifle 10 years ago.
Yep. Forget about converting the brass if it's modernly made these days. And there's no, they keep fucking importing them, M95s. There's apparently no shortage of them in Ethiopia, especially. Yeah, my full intentions, you're going to see us in Grass and Sons, Midway USA, Brownells. Like, we're going to be all over the place,
Oh,
especially like
shit.
selling reloading components. And I kind of hinted this to Alex is, they're constantly on back order at Steinel. And it's because of what I just mentioned with PPU being constantly soaked up. I mean, the second that shipment hits the US, it goes out to certain people. Actually, it goes out to Graphs, and then it goes to certain people. And then it's gone. And then it's just price gouging out the ass. So what I say is enough of that. I feel like there's a huge shift that there's a huge wave that I'm gonna ride. I've been saying this before it even started, is American made, American company here in the US, quality, reliability, quantity, all that kind of stuff, for these MILSURP cartridges. And we'll absolutely expand into other ones, pistol, cowboy, even more, probably not like too out of date, but like, we want to eliminate that issue in the US and just kind of remove their stranglehold on the market, and make it more mainstream.
That'd be great.
And if I could add something too, I know that I talked to Norma, because Norma outside of PPU is the only one that ever has like 6.5 Arasaka, 7.7 Arasaka, and they make good brass. And I asked the booth at SHOT Show, like, hey, you guys are pumping out in Georgia now, common calibers. Is there any likelihood that stuff's coming over for you guys, any of that tooling or equipment? And they basically flat out just said, no, that's not happening. We're just doing these common stuff, and maybe we'll get a couple of things that we add from there, but it's basically just going to be common and modern stuff, and that's it. So like,
it's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
So that's why, Alex, I was floating the idea with you, like, hey, there actually might be a relationship down the road here, because I mean, I like Steinel a lot as a company, so I don't like seeing you guys get like held by PPU, and like my company is held by PPU. So it's got to end. I'm lucky to have Uli behind me to do this. He's building me a warehouse in Melbourne that we're going to run it out of, and hopefully we could transform the U.S. market going forward.
That would be,
like I said.
And does that mean so that means we're talking the modern ammo too?
Yeah, it's something to consider. I mean, I'm gonna start with the MILSURP stuff, and we might dabble in it, but I might brand it as like Cold War stuff, if that sounds cool. Like, I might sell 308 with like FAL or like some kind of like G3 style, like nostalgia behind it, or like I'll put like Vietnam. Like, I don't want to make it modern. Yeah, like what if I recreated the loads for like these old MILSURP Cold War cartridges? Technically, they're modern loads, but like people are buying the shit out of these old battle rifles, the G3s, the FALs.
Yeah,
a lot. They love their like their retro M16A2s and A1s. Why not shoot like retro ammo, right? So yeah, we can make the new stuff, and we'll theme it to Cold War and old style. Let Winchester and Remington and all these other guys fuck with all the.
And then price-wise, though, will you be able to keep the price now lower?
Yeah, if we're making the brass here, our prices are going to come down big time. Everything will come down. Everything will be in, obviously, larger quantity too. So, like for example, our 8x50R will not be $60 a box, because the reason why it's so expensive is because we have to buy another piece of brass and put it through an entire fucking process, and that's pain in the ass.
Right, so when you make your own, that'll be crazy, because it should bring the price down, and that'll be another huge selling point besides being tied to all the RTI rifles. Because there's a lot of people I see on the forums, like, how do I do RTI? I don't even know what this is. They would definitely buy the ammo too.
Yeah, there was an idea floated. There's an idea floated between me and Uli where, like, if you go on RTI one day, you could purchase a bundle where you get the rifle and like maybe like 60 rounds or like 100 rounds,
Yeah.
something like that.
I would do that. I think people love a good deal.
Yeah,
Well, not only that, they
Yeah.
love to be able to shoot what they get when they get it.
Seriously.
correct.
It pains me to have my Dutch Mannlicher sitting there and I don't have any ammo.
You
Oh,
mean you don't want to
I
take
don't-
your 3 brass and send it through 308, 7 mil, and 6.5, and then 6.5 dies?
Oh God. I
when
mean,
I'm
you could
ready,
just put it on your stage.
when I'm ready to do that, no,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
6.5
buy it somewhere.
6.5
SG Ammo
Dutch
has
is a
it.
pain. No, they don't.
I also just got a hookup for 545.
Please, yes.
I'm not. It's not going to be branded to us though. This company I'm talking to, they're getting it like straight. It's going to be like their branding. So like, I don't know if I'll sell it, but I could get 545 and flood the market with brass.
Please do. Because then bullet prices will
I
come
don't-
down, then other prices will come down, and then 545 will be reasonable again.
Yeah,
Yep.
maybe. I don't know. Alex, do you guys load 545?
No, but like in the last 3 days, that's been a hot thing every time I post somewhere on Reddit.
Yeah, but keep in mind though, like Hornady, I think it's Hornady only is the only bullet manufacturer, and they only make one fucking bullet for 545. That's it on the market. It's crazy. It's like a varmint round or something like that.
That one, like, bullets aren't that scary for us because we usually have ways to find more or like alternates. Like if we want to do a solid copper hollow point, we can probably get one made to have something interesting and neat. Yeah, but yeah, with 545 that might be difficult though. I don't know. We'd have
Yeah,
to that definitely be one where like we'd have to dick with it for a second.
yeah. See, you're not a business owner, but you and me feel like the same like hesitancy around 545. It's like I don't know if it's ready for us to take it on yet.
Yeah, well, the nice thing about working for Andy, so he comes from a business background. He's got his MBA and his CPA, and was a controller before he owned his business. So he's like incredibly business minded, and he's not scared to like share his knowledge. So like from where I was 3 years ago, where I was just saying every dumbass cartridge that I thought was cool and wanted to make happen, like my mindset has changed completely as far as how I think about ammo and like what I'm suggesting. Like I don't even like to suggest anything unless I have more than just 4 dudes saying, "Hey, this is a cool round." I like to kind of look in and see, what we could do with it to make it unique or our own, cuz that's kind of, with the whole 268 thing, and 7.7 Arisaka, these are calibers that the company was built on. So I like to, make sure I'm thinking in that vein when I'm thinking the MILSURP stuff, because, luckily there's other people thinking about the hunting rounds and the defensive rounds around. So just a little insight, at least how personally I think about it. And I think that's kind of the spirit of the company.
And remember that Alex is the guy to email to suggest your MILSURP rounds. So
Hey,
you can
please,
push him through.
please do, because I do keep I literally keep one of my old army notebooks. I just keep it and fill it with calibers I hear, and just keep it kind of rolling, and I put tally marks like when I hear about it. But that's not all the research that needs to go into around, there's the whole other side of, component research and everything that goes into that.
So, all right, fellas, we did a lot. Maybe we might have to make a 2-party here. I don't know what we're doing here.
We're
But
doing like 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
oh, all right. I didn't see the clock. And yeah, Alex, let us know of any upcoming Steinel deals and stuff, and when things are gonna drop early, so we're there clicking the day it drops on the website.
I take pictures of what I have on press and try to give it to you guys.
Yeah.
And also,
Awesome.
MILSURP Munitions or MILSURP HQ welcomes any and all ammo sponsors.
That's right. We have access to wonderful ranges and video, and we'll give wonderful reports. And I want to get him a chronograph, or what is that? What it is?
I got a chrono.
You have
I
one?
can chrono shit.
I want you to chrono stuff and be like, R.I.P. Paul Harrell, and boom, 12:25, boom, 12:32. I want you to do some of that.
Every year you play somebody.
Yeah.
1995, 1981.
Here's the
1992.
story of when I almost, so R.I.P. Paul. Thanks, everyone. Check out the YouTube, the Patreon, the website, all that stuff. We don't update that much.
And for all your ammunition needs, hit up Steinel and MILSURP Munitions. They're both good quality, unlike the company that shall not be named.
Correct. Definitely go to both of them. And while you're at it, go check out carcanorifle.weebly.com and type99.weebly.com. Get yourself some knowledge.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you for having me on.
All right.
Yeah, ditto. Thanks for having me on, guys.
See you.